Whoa, here we go. Awestruck Comics Podcast Reviews Day. Pretty big week. Cold in New Jersey,
Very
freezing,
cold. Long John weather.
cold, Long John weather.
Was there a
Also,
guy named Long John who invented it? He's like, oh, we got it from the, tall guy. What's his name? Oh, Long John.
Long John Paul John Bunyan. Uh, so
And we
Comics
pay
Podcast,
we pay him in silver, this Long John.
Silver, Long John Silver. I don't like something. Okay, real quick, just do plugs real fast, and I'll talk about Long John Silvers. Um, Awestruck Comics Podcast on Instagram. I'm Idiosyncratic Pulp, and we have an Instagram there that I got to get more active on. You have two
I got
Twitters, X's.
I got Rob Messick 76. It's just various pictures I find online amusing. And I got Maximum Supreme, which is where I'm going through Supreme day by day, figuring out that comic.
Yeah.
We also have Awestruck Comics Gmail. You can email us at Awestruck
Oh,
Comics Twitter, which we don't use. Our friend Mike sometimes reposts the stuff that we post on my Rob Messick 76. And I got Awestruck Comics on Facebook, which is just old comic strips me and Brian Milligan did years ago. They're pretty funny, a little racy. Definitely worth checking out.
Triple X.
That's right.
Triple X.
Not quite. Sometimes. No.
So
R.
Long
Hard
John
R. It's a
Silver's.
hard R.
I don't believe in like fast food fish. I just am
Oh, no.
against it.
You shouldn't.
No dice.
No.
Although I
I
feel like
don't.
I used to have a BK Big Fish when I was in college. I don't know why.
That's,
That's They still make that?
I don't think so.
Can you imagine? Like, I mean, do they still make filet o
No,
fish?
they do because my mother in law used to like them. She's like, oh, I got my filet of fish. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, but like, how often do they? You know what I mean? Like,
It's just for old people.
it's kind of like what was it? What was the lobster? You ordered the lobster from the diner from on Saturday Night Live, the John Mulaney. And
Oh,
you're like,
yeah.
what?
Oh, no,
You know?
no, it was that. Yeah, yeah. That was funny.
Yeah, he did a
Or
couple
getting
of those.
lobster from like a bodega or something. It was like, was it a
Yeah,
bodega?
I don't know. They did three of them. They did like a Subway something, and then they did a
A bus terminal? I
I
think they've
forget.
done four of them, dude. How many times is he in a five timers club?
Yes, yes, he is.
So he's at very least done four.
Yeah, he at least is at least on four. So we're gonna jump into reviews. So we're
Yep.
trying to do at least two episodes a week. We're doing pretty good. We've been two episodes a week. We just hit
We've been a solid
26.
two episodes. So
Yeah, when we started to break them up, we did the first two or three just as long 3 hour. The first one still being like a ridiculous amount of views for some reason. That's fine. But
great. People
we're
tried
gonna
us out and decided not to like us.
that's fine.
But we're
Fine.
better now. We are better.
We are get better every time.
We're trying.
Getting better every time. So we're gonna transition. Let's get
Getting better all
into
the
the
time.
reviews. I was thinking of the Chicago one. There's a Chicago like I don't know.
That was good. Let me try to figure that out.
Yep.
Let me put that in my Shazam app.
I think that was it. I think that was it.
Is that
All
still an
right.
app? Did DC not? Could you not
Oh yeah. Yeah, Shazam's still
copyright?
out.
Is it?
All right,
I'm sure
let's
Apple.
here
I
we
guess you
go.
can't copyright Shazam. Did like
Boom. Here we
okay.
go.
All right.
We're doing it live. Here we go. Big, gigantic Batman this week.
That is big, dude.
Gigantic Batman. And I get all right. So we're now in issue 4. So now we're getting the world. See how big we make us here. Getting into the world. Now, a little bit of flack this week. Okay, so this is Absolute Batman number 4, DC All In. So we're 4 months in, but this
Like
is a
this should not
fill-in.
say. Yeah, it should not say all in. Like we had said it from the get go.
Yes,
Just keep it absolute Batman. Just
you
keep
got
it
the DC
absolute
logo,
Batman.
we get it, or have an actual Absolute logo like Vertigo. You know, Vertigo is coming back this week with Nice House on the Lake number 5 or Nice House by the Sea number 5
Yeah, by the sea, right?
with no other Vertigo books in sight. Big fail. Come on, guys. Come on. Come on. The whole point of Vertigo, we're already off. We're already off track. Um, the whole point of that was to kind of almost like keep that talent, right? Even when they did Icon, they were like, "Don't go to Image, guys. You can stay here. If you want to
Yeah,
do a book, okay, Brubaker, you do Criminal here. Don't keep that in Image. Put Powers over here.
yeah. Bring Powers over here. Mark Miller. You can do your books here. But then the books get made into movies, and Marvel's like, we don't get a cut of that. Like, no, you gave us the Image deal. I think Marvel gets a cut of Empress. If I think they Marvel changed the deal when he did Empress with Stuart Immonen, because Stuart Immonen was under
Oh,
Marvel contract. That was
oh
the other thing.
no.
That's one of the reasons Mark Miller did it through Icon, is because he could have access to Marvel exclusive artists.
Oh.
Yeah, but yeah,
Always a
something
businessman, that Mark Miller.
he
That
is
liar.
that liar.
That straight up
You
liar.
I'm not going to tell the story.
We already told the story. Go
Different
back a
story.
few episodes. Just watch all
No,
the episodes
one.
and you'll
No,
catch
no,
the
no.
story.
One episode, I told the story about him coming into the Legend store. But this story is he had a pitch for DC called the Secret Society of Supervillains, and I'm like, oh, that'll be really awesome. They pass on it. Okay, a couple years later, he does Want It, which is basically archetypes. He Watchmen that shit,
Mm.
and it's all here's a Bizarro guy, here's a Lex Luthor guy. So he does Want It, and I'm like, oh, I bet you that's a Secret Society of Superheroes pitch, just reworked. And he kept saying no, no. Other people would ask him in interviews, oh no, that's totally original, totally original. And then last week, he's talking about it. He's like, oh yeah, I had a Secret Society of Supervillains pitch. DC turned it down. Marvel turned it down. So I guess he's going to rework it for Marvel. He goes, but I turned it into Want It. I'm like, you son of a bitch. You've been saying for years it's not Want It.
Well,
I mean, it's not Secret Society of Supervillains. Whatever.
yeah, you might as
Uh,
well say it later. I mean, I just found out recently, we've talked about this a couple times, that Punisher POV is Batman the Cult 2, that
right?
that DC turned it down.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? I mean, when the Cult came out, it was a hit. It was a wall book. They were wall books at the
Yeah.
time. It's cooled off since, but with reprints and all that stuff. But it was
It was a
mysterious.
hot book. It was a
Hmm.
1980. It came out before the movie, but the movie made it a hot book, like Dark
Yeah,
Knight, like Year One, like Death and Family, like you know what I mean. All these Batman books were so hot that year.
yeah.
Or when I find out, is it Jean Claude Van Damme's and is it Cyborg? It's supposed to be Master Universe Part Two. Like they
Uh,
took the Master Universe Two script
right,
and
right,
changed it
right.
into that Van Damme movie.
We need to do a whole episode of like this was almost this and was not this, because we
Yeah,
talk about Conan action figures becoming He-Man and
and
Flash Gordon becoming
Star
Star
Wars.
Wars, and
Right, right.
that's Watchmen being the most famous, but most people know that. Majority of people do know that. I think
Yep.
I mentioned this last week, is that if you've seen the ads, and a lot of these DC books, they'll have the ads of what's on HBO Max, I guess, right, or something. And so this is now streaming on HBO Max, or on demand, I think, and it has like a giant 3/4 ad of Watchmen Chapter 2, the animated, and at the very bottom they have Lady Gaga's head, and and Phoenix's head, Joaquin Phoenix's head,
I
and they're
bet
like
you it's
Joker
not River
2,
Phoenix.
a
River
follow. Yeah,
Phoenix
it's not
doesn't
River
he doesn't
Phoenix.
he doesn't look so good anymore.
He might look better than
Oh my
Joaquin
God,
looks
yeah,
there.
that's true. That's true.
What
You
a
know,
weird decision. Uh, why? Again, we're
we
not even
we
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 didn't even
are gonna have
start the
some
reviews. We're going
we
to
are
start
gonna
the
have
reviews, I
some
swear.
reviews on this review show.
We already talked about Joker, but like, here's the thing: why would you if is there some secret that we don't know that Joaquin Phoenix wanted to sing? Because he didn't try really; he kind of just
Right?
talked.
Yeah, it
But if you're
wasn't like
going to do that, don't put a real high-end singer, professional,
yeah, I know. Don't
trained
get
singer who sings with jazz musicians, with Tony
Tony
Bennett,
Bennett.
and
Yeah,
like, don't have someone who's trained. It's just so weird, you know? Ah,
and speaking of other characters turning to other characters, you and I had a great idea today where
we always
the
have great
Marvel
ideas.
has the unpublished
Oh my
Liefeld, take a
God.
shot. Unpublished Killraven series, completely penciled, inked, halfway colored. Okay, Kirkman scripting it, Liefeld plots, Liefeld drew it. He took it to DC first as a commandy pitch. DC's like, no. But Joe Quesada hears about it. He's like, yo, can you do that for us? Liefeld's like, yeah, sure. Does it. Never gets published. It's been 10 years in a drawer somewhere. So today we're like, can you just turn it to like an image character? Like this guy's like the descendant of like
Yeah.
Supreme or something. And instead of Marvel Thor, you use Liefeld's Thor from Supreme, or, instead of Vision, half a Vision, it's like half a Die Hard.
Die Hard. Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's almost too easy. So, and then we said you could even tie it into your last Blood story.
See, yeah, we're a little fuzzy on how things are being published all over the place. So, for example, like Alex Ross had that pitch for FF, right? And then he pitches to him, and they're like, no. And they're like, all right, well, I have this story, and then he published it through like Abrams Comics Arts, and then there's other stuff coming out through Abrams
Yeah, Abrams is just
and
doing original stories
how.
and collections.
Yeah, so I'm a little confused. Or like I don't know if and I was saying like, well, can we do like a change.org? We know a good amount of people. Let's try to get X amount of signatures to have them, or do we can we like partially crowdfund it or something? You know what I mean? Like, I
See,
don't know how
I
we're gonna
think
do this.
think the problem with comic books is that I think they're too snobby, they're too stuck up, they're too self-righteous. The people and like Killgrave is not being published, not because of anyone working directly at Marvel, not because of the editor in chief, CB Cebulski. It's above him. It could be, you know, and I think they're upset with Kirkman. They're not upset with Liefeld. Liefeld and Marvel always work together fine. There's
Yeah.
bumpy roads, and they Liefeld has taken him to court. Marvel's taken him to court, back and forth. But yeah, I feel like it's way up there. Could be Foggy, but it's definitely I think they're angry at Kirkman. Still, I don't know why. It's been like
Mm.
10, 15 years since he did you know, his
His
manifesto.
declaration, yeah,
Yeah.
is the
His
Kirkman
declaration of
Manifesto,
independent comics.
which is pretty tried and true. Was laughed at the time, probably because it's poorly lit. Maybe we should have,
Yeah,
we should have
maybe
filmed
you
that
should edit
for
it
him.
up. Yeah.
I'll re-edit it. I'll put it in green screen next to Shia LaBeouf. Do it.
No,
All right, so here we
I
go.
love that manifesto, and I think he's like 90% right.
Yeah,
You know,
100%. Yeah, I was 100%. He's
he's
90%.
100%.
I'm 100% that he's 90% right.
Yeah.
100% he's 90% right. So, all right, here we go. Absolute Batman, number four, still part four. It's not in like it's kind of an interlude, but not really.
Right.
And like having having a fill in right here. Now, here's the thing. This is, let me move this here. So having this, and I do like the color choice of this. Did I put the thing? Okay. So having
So
the color choice of the flashbacks in this like fade it like this little bit of a fade like
uh-huh.
screen, a foggy screen basically, having
Now
the
who is
flashbacks
this
there.
artist? Let's say who the artist is right off the bat.
It's Gabriel Hernandez Walta,
Now he did Phantom Road with Jeff Lemire at Image.
volume one and two trades are out, yes, I believe.
Yes.
Mhm.
And I think he did some X-Men work in the past. I
He
kind of
did
remember him.
Vision. He did the Vision. That's the big one. He did Tom King's
Vision. Yeah,
Vision.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So that's the biggest thing he's done. And he's done some stuff, I think, with Bendis, but again, I think that's through Abrams also. But I've never seen that. I don't think that's available. I think it's only print. I've never seen it digitally. So
Okay.
we're mainly digital peoples. So
That's because of our old men eyes.
I need the backlight. Give me that backlight.
I
You
reach out
know?
sometimes to people who just put their books out in print. I'm like, gonna put it out digitally? He's like, no, paper. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool, except you're
We're
missing out
all
on some sales.
yeah.
Like, let me look at my 27-inch desktop computer, where I
Mm,
can read a comic like I'm watching a movie, or let me put it on my iPad where I can take it with me everywhere and blow up the panels. You
mm.
know, I like comics, but I don't love. I want to be able to read them.
Yeah, I like the fact that
I want to see the
uh
detail. These guys are drawing digitally half the time,
mhm,
you know,
yeah.
and you want to see what they're putting in it. Like the page you have up right now, you have young Bruce Wayne in a courtroom. Look at the woodwork he's doing. Look at the angles. That's not easy to do. He doesn't have to do that. He can have a
Yeah.
white background. These guys are putting in the work on these books.
Yeah, and this could be a situation where that's either done either in poser or pictures, or he's just I because having the architecture and the molding and all that stuff.
Doesn't matter. You don't have to do it.
Yeah, but at least it's not like there and then like neatly photoshopped and barely traced. This is
But you know what
drawn
else?
over.
It's
You know.
consistent. The top
Yeah.
panel matches the bottom panel with what he's sitting in front of. The two middle panels reflect the shadows on the side.
Yeah.
It's he's paying attention.
So this this is his. I would say his art's like not flashy, but that makes it scarier. I'm seeing a little bit of Guy Davis. I'm seeing this to me is Guy Davis
Yeah,
plus
Guy Davis,
Klaus Janson.
Klaus Janson. Yeah, that's exactly where I was headed. Funny.
Um, and then actually the little bit of like that last guy, the last panel is almost like a little quietly with some of the like line the lines to
A
the
little
side.
quietly, a little bit like Adler. It's that whole
Mm.
Sean Phillips. Like those guys all have a similar basis from somewhere,
Well,
but this
this
guy's his own on top of that.
I think the casual violence here is that was actually pretty scary.
It is. It is.
So that was really scary. So I loved that. Spoilers, this happened. She got thrown back up, but that kind of freaked me out. I'm like, oh God, like yuck. And because I didn't really know, I don't because there has been the first issue, Batman chops a guy's hand off. So if this person's really, it's very possible now with this, we know it's a little off the rails. We know it's going to be overt violence in this. So it's a little, it's a little edgier. I mean, listen, it's
Yeah.
kind of goofy that we're like, oh man, they're making an edgy Batman. Yeah, we know. Frank Miller did it in 1986.
So
Everyone's doing
you gotta out
variations of
edge.
that.
You have to out edge Frank Miller.
Yeah,
You have to be a sort of Lord of Edge
Edge
now, like
Lord.
a
Ah,
you
all
saw where I
right.
was going.
So yeah, I did. So all right. So here we go. So I actually, so this in a way, I feel like this is kind of doing like a early golden age Batman type of kind of feel with like the bigger cowl and making him a little bit more vampire-ish. And he's
Yeah, yeah,
literally
yeah,
biting people,
yeah.
which is
I'm
really
like at
fun.
first I was like, what are they doing here? Is this like someone telling the story? Is this like one
I
of
thought
their
it was Thomas
interpretations?
Wayne because I didn't know what they were doing. Like, and in one way, because again, in another universe, Thomas Wayne has red highlights. So when I first saw this, I was like, oh, are they going to do a Thomas Wayne thing like Flashpoint?
Right.
So Flashpoint has a Thomas Wayne Batman who has some red highlights. So that this you're right because I wasn't sure because again, it starts with a flashback, jumps right into this. I don't even know if it says it doesn't say anything. We it just
Yeah,
coloring wise, we know that this is today, but we weren't really sure at this point.
yeah, I thought it was someone's retelling of them seeing the Batman and what he is.
Yeah. But it's a freaky, man. I imagine that I guess they're contact lenses. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. Like again, this is all fiction, but I
Yeah,
guess you can get contact lenses that do this. Um, but yeah, I just zoomed in. So this, I think you're right. But like look, zooming in on this, I would think that I would think that he is doing it digitally, right? It's messy.
it
It's
is
actually like a
messy.
little ink wash. Like it's, I don't know. I don't know. I doubt it's on paper, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I had
And isn't it cooler if you don't know? Like
some, yeah,
it's not cooler, but it's like we don't always know everything.
but see if you zoom out, like so if you just look at that bottom panel, right?
Hmm.
Like, okay, here we go. We just talked about it. We just talked about digital, right? We talked about like what we like about digital. If this was on print, I can't go into it and see like are those pencil marks around his
Yeah.
mouth?
Are,
Like
are
is
those?
like
Is it a distortion around the neck?
I don't know. Yeah.
Or is it, or just a little bit of the black wash onto the, you know what I mean?
Or is it just the colorist like just pulling it a little like a little bit away, you know? I don't know. I love it. I love it.
I do.
What does that bottom panel look like? It looks like a John Byrne
Looks like
something. I
I was
can't
gonna say it
place it.
looks like something golden age. I
Yeah.
mean that the whole thing looks like it's golden age. That's the point.
Yeah.
I mean
So
the costume looks like it's a sweater.
yeah. Now this is kind of fun perspective wise because when I see
Yeah,
so the first
they
two
tricked us.
panels, I was a little confused because I'm like, oh man, that's cool. We got the Batmobile, and then it just immediately switches to it being a small,
Yeah,
RC car,
good
which
job.
he's just standing in the middle of the road. Oh my God. And I guess this is almost like a trope now, right? This is kind of a Batman trope. Like we're gonna flip a truck, right? It's gonna be a truck flip. That's a
Yeah,
Batman Dark Knight trope. And you know what? Fine. But you feel a lot of weight. And look, it's like up here, you see like a lot of charcoal and stuff. Like it's a yeah, I would think it's probably a Procreate situation or there's a lot of tools. To me, there's too many tools in Procreate. I don't like Procreate. It's too much. So I like kind of my other simpler drawing apps when I draw. Uh, but like you said, I mean, there's all this, even like you're seeing the undercarriage of it. I
well
just think
he's
it's
been
just
practicing
good.
drawing tractor trailers for like 2 years now.
Oh yeah, because he's doing Phantom
Doing
Road. So I
Phantom,
guess
yeah,
yeah. But if you're Snyder, and you're gonna have to give a breather. I mean, listen, Snyder this week was talking about issue 14 and then what he wants to do around issue 22. He had an interview. He was talking to somebody on So
Yeah, it's like
what? That's
absolute
cool.
zero,
Yeah,
right? So I
which
guess that's
is a
I
Mr. Freeze. Suppose like it was alluded to as Mr.
yeah.
Freeze.
And then we
Fine.
get a absolute Joker,
Yeah,
which I can't wait to see that take on him.
I don't know what it's gonna be, but this is a prime example of like, you want to pick if you have to have a fill-in, right? If you have to have a fill-in, it's not too dissimilar from the artist. Like I don't know. Listen, Hayden Sherman's drawn two books simultaneously right now. I don't know if they're going to have a fill-in. I don't really
He
know who
he
you would
he
get
does. I think
to
issue
fill in.
4 is a fill-in, right?
I don't know.
I think we
You might
already
be
we
right.
already I think we discussed that on a
Oh,
podcast.
oh my God, that's frightening. Okay, well, we'll review that again. None of these have missed. So this is basically six. So it's seven. This is the 10th release, right?
Right.
Zero of these have missed. Okay, that's 10 for 10, basically, right? There might have been a B plus in there, but they're all A's. All of them are A's to B plus worst. There's no B at all. I don't think so. I think the production up and down, I think you're doing a good job. We just don't like the labeling of it. If it's absolute, put an absolute logo up there, or just has DC logo, right? DC has a hard time with their branding. Black Label, they messed up. They never fixed it. They got rid of Vertigo. Now they brought Vertigo back, but they're not bringing Vertigo back all the way. So what's the point? Might as well be Black Label.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. But yeah, this shouldn't be listed all in. All in should just be the concepted DC books. So, um, yeah, and then so now we get a little bit more. Next couple pages are just like literally science of him. Oh, I thought I had it with him and his dad when he was doing the science of the like his like experiment, which goes back to like Michelangelo, right? Because that's all the
Yeah.
wings and everything. So just really, really cool. Again, still with the motif here of switching out the faded coloring here. You know, back then, present day. There's his dad, sad. My dad's not there. Hello. Uh, this I can't. This looks so much like a JRJR slash Jansen drawing. Like it's hard to even say that it's not. Look
Yeah.
at
Well,
that.
he's got to
Like,
draw
what is
him.
happening? Uh, this is really fun, man. Oh, you know what this reminds me of a little bit? This reminds me of when I was a kid. Sorry, I had an icy hot patch on because I'm old and
Yeah.
my back hurts. This actually reminds me of Kevin Eastman did a bunch of art for a West End Games Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles like handbook. Do you remember that? They had like a
Yeah. I
character
do.
handbook. And I either traced a lot of those drawings or redrew a lot of those drawings. But this kind of reminds me of that because I feel like a lot of that I used to have. I'm trying to think what pen that was. It was like a signature. Mm, uh, it wasn't. Who's? I don't know. I forget what type of pen. My dad would have these pens from work, and then I would take them because it was like a fountain pen almost, and that's what I would draw with. I would draw with that. I would kind of sketch it a bit in pencil, but most of the stuff when I'm looking at the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stuff at that time because I had who did the trades for that first? The color trades?
I feel like they did.
Yeah. So those I had and that I colored, I traced like a lot of that. So this is Frank Martin colors. Okay.
Yeah. I like Frank Martin.
But Dragata still gets a plot. So I wonder if that's a plot, just a plot, or if there was any layouts involved. Doesn't really say. Doesn't really say.
Well,
I
it's probably they have the whole series kind of plotted out. Yeah, I mean they're doing it together, so they've
yeah.
got to give him some kind of credit. I think. I mean, I don't think he did layouts for this. I don't think he
Nah, it
that
doesn't feel
hard.
like it. It doesn't feel like it, but because it's he would have probably an extra six panels on a page, and that's what he does. So I feel
Right.
like so this was a good breather. I'm good. I'm good with it. We'll see if whoever's doing it for Wonder Woman, if that's also going to be okay. As far as I know, Dragata will be right back. I threw some of the variant covers in here as a James Harren. I
James
looked at
Harren,
this
so cool,
last week
dude.
at Final Boss, and I'm looking at, I think it was 15 bucks, 10 bucks. I'm just looking at it, I'm like, oh man, like it's
Yeah.
tough. It's tough. Wait, hang on. So that is Franco Villa, Yasmin Putri. I think that's one, or Jorge Fornes. I'm not sure which one's which. That's Fornes. Okay. Yeah. So I didn't put all of them, but I saved. So we got Aquaman. So Aquaman's kicking off.
It's
and all
it's
in.
Jeremy Adams. Yeah, this is all in. It's good to have all in. This should be all in. Um, I like Jeremy Adams. I like him a lot.
Mm,
He's a super nice guy. I just listened to an interview with him on Miller World, Miller Time.
Miller time.
And he just doubles down on being like one of the nicer guys in comics that he's new. You know, he comes from animation mostly. That's where he gets most of his money.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, I like this book. I like this flash run. Like the guy just,
I like
I
this
just
last run. Yeah, you're right.
I
I did
do.
like his last run.
It started off a little slow because it was just such a separation from like what Williamson was doing, Josh
Mhm.
Williamson was doing. But like, I just got into it, and when he got to the 1 minute war, I'm like, yeah, this is really good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
I haven't sat down and really got into his Green Lantern run, and when I'd met him, he asked me about it. I'm like, and I paused. He's like, "Oh, you're not reading it?" He goes, "I'm gonna win you over." He goes, "I promise you. You read my Green Lantern, I
Yeah,
will
that's
win
cool.
you over." I'm like, "All right, you got me."
I got through I was reading on the DC app. I did maybe like four in a night and I
That's
just you
I
know,
love that. I love that DC app.
yeah, it
I
gets
just love
kind of
apps. I
it's
wish Image had an
comfortable.
app. It's
Yeah.
harder. It's harder with Image. It's just too much diverseness, too much different, creators.
Yeah.
But I wish
Yeah.
they could do something like that. Walt's he loves the global app, and they have a good amount of Image books, but it's not like everything.
Right, right. Yeah, I guess they're signing individual deals. I'm not really sure. I know he was talked about the last time we hung out, but I haven't really looked at it too much. It's another similar to, and I also like for whatever reason my iPad logged me out of Hoopla because Hoopla was pretty good where I can just get stuff from the library technically and look
Yeah,
at
it's Hoopla is
samples and
a
stuff.
it's a library app, and they have a really good amount of comics, a pretty good selection of Alan Moore books. Like almost all Alan Moore
Alan
treats are on
Moore,
there. Yes,
your favorite,
he is.
you jam
I just wish he continued writing
comics. I can't read it unless
comics.
it's got you
His
know.
novels are. Anytime I've ever read any of his stuff that's not comics, it's dense. Like you got to be in the right mood. You can't be tired. But if you read the novel in his voice, it gets better. And I found that like when I went back and read Chris Claremont X-Men comics, they're easy to read when you're young, but when you're older, they're harder to read because they're so dense. So,
Mm,
but if you read them in either the X-Men animated voices or the movie voices,
mm.
it's
Okay.
it's really enjoyable.
Okay.
Like if you imagine like Patrick Stewart and Ian McClellan going at it, or the cartoon voices themselves are really phenomenal.
Yeah, I
What
like all the
else?
cartoon voices. I thought it was cool that so many people came back for 97, you know.
Yeah,
Uh, but overall, so I mean, this book, the only thing that messed with, well, okay, so here's some variants on that. So there's a Brad Walker variant, which I think it's weird that they have a Brad Walker variant and Brad Walker doesn't do his era that he drew it in Rebirth.
yeah, yeah. He does the Peter
Weird.
David era, and
Yeah.
he's a really good artist. I really like his artwork.
And I want to say this is a Christian Ward because Christian Ward, I believe, did an Aquaman, and that's his Aquaman. So that makes
With Ram
sense.
V, right?
Yeah, so that makes sense. Or yeah, I think he might even plotted that. I'm a big Christian Ward fan, more so now that he's been writing stuff. He's writing Two Face, and we're kind of Awestruck approved Two Face to everybody. So somehow,
Yeah.
a book I didn't want at all. And then this is Ivan Reyes. Why are you
Who
just why you're doing every era like that? You're not the era that would have
had
been
yeah, you
New
did a
52,
good.
right?
Yeah, he was 52.
Come on, man. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. Um, one you have a one page recap, which I think is pretty cool because we don't need 10 pages. I feel like there's been enough of this, right? So
Yeah,
I
no,
love
this is
this.
the 1 page recap.
I
I think
love it.
All Star Superman is the
Uh,
first one that really got famous doing it.
yeah, yeah.
You know, when Transformers All Hell Megatron came out, he just did the exact same thing.
Mm,
Um, One of my pitches, you know, I wanted to utilize it too, and then I wanted to utilize it on a book that had never existed before. So I did a recap
oh,
page for a book that just never existed.
oh, that's cool.
I mean, yeah, the idea is I fill in the story eventually, but yeah, 1 page recap is great. Good job. Good job.
Yeah, yeah. And again, just jump us right into the action, please. Thank you very much. So we got
That's the
one, two.
787.
Just do it, man. Just drop me in. Who's the colorist on this? Rex Locus. But Tim inks
That's
his own stuff, so I'm not sure if he does digital. Also, we've been, pretty high on Tim's when he did Action Comics. He did I first saw him on doing some Harley Quinn stuff and
Yes.
was like,
Yeah, I
this
remember
guy
that.
should be off of this. He should be drawing
He
Superman.
wasn't he wasn't the guy who won the contest, was he?
I don't know.
Somebody
Maybe.
like won a Harley Quinn contest and got to draw a page, and then he just kind of got a career off of that. I don't know if
Oh
that
well,
was him or not.
I'll have to see. To look it up. Um, just really, I mean, you need a strong colorist on this, and I imagine that some of this stuff might be texture stuff that he's doing. It's tough to say. I mean, he might be working really close with this artist, or the color
Right,
artist
the colors
rather.
to him working together.
Yeah, really good. Like way different textures. I thought this was like pretty impactful. I always think of planes going down as a Superman type of thing. So I thought this
Yes.
was a pretty cool. Plus, again, I don't know, and maybe we should figure this out or find this out. Who came up with this power thing? We talked about this. So every week we seem to keep talking about the DC books because again, they're just stronger in the entire universe. The all-in concept basically is that after absolute power, which absolute power was Wade, but would he have come up with the concept where everyone's powers got all shifted around?
It sounds like a suggestion in committee.
Yeah,
Like Mark was like, and then we'll give everyone their powers back. And somebody's like, hold on a minute. You
let's not
know,
give them all their powers back. So, because
one
basically
one more thing.
he basically has Mira's like telekinesis, water,
Right.
whatever it's called. So
Hydrokinesis, maybe.
hydrokinesis. Yeah. So he's learning, and she's kind of coaching him through it, right?
Right.
So, pretty cool. And then again, here's the bureaucracy's board.
Yep. Love it.
Um,
It's,
do
it's
you
true.
I don't understand. Now look at this. So this is a little weird. Every third or fourth panel has these lines. Did you notice this? Did you
Yes.
bother you at all? It's like he's journaling or something, right? It's like it's not, and then it's not. So then there's not, then there is, and there's not, you know.
It's good.
Um, so he gets called away. So the only thing that kind of bothered me with this whole thing, let me go back here, is that basically,
Is when he got called away. Should have been like a bunch of water came out with him.
well, yeah, the airlock should just have a bunch of water. Be like, oh man, Aquaman, you know what I
Freaking
mean? So,
Aquaman. Get out the
um,
towels.
and also, this is a little, confusing because I can't really tell if that's a Batgirl over there, Batwoman maybe. Can't really tell. And if this is Blue Beetle, that's like not the Blue Beetle costume he's wearing right now. Again, it's a little nitpicky, whatever. There's Steel there, and
Yeah.
Black Canary and Adam Strange. Fine, fine. But again, I like everyone being there. That's cool. My only issue with this book is that I feel like it's so purposeful that Aquaman's got to get an action, 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 action. He doesn't have a minute where he's like, maybe I should have not let this like Pearl thing, which there was like a giant reference where they referenced like four or five comic books. It was like a big thing. They're like Brave and the Bold this and that, because again, Aquaman's been floating around different books here and there, different
Right.
anthologies and stuff. So they apparently, maybe it was Jeremy Adams, like, we got this Pearl that may have destroyed Atlantis, right? Um, but he doesn't take a moment to be like, what have I done? I feel like, as they say the heavy wears the crown, but I feel like because basically Atlantis is a wasteland, it's gone. Seems
Right.
something happened. No one's there. I feel like he would have a minute where he seems upset, and there's not a lot of emotion. It's the same exact John Timms face. Now, again, we just talked about we really like John Timms, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to see him upset, because even this, and then I did put this, so all right, we got to go, but it's kind of all the same stuff, right? Yeah, save for that pearl. What, you know what I mean? I feel like he should have a bit more weight of like, oh, what was I doing? I guess this is the closest to it, right? I
Yeah.
guess that's closest to it. All right.
All right. Still,
And then I just kind of grabbed this because I like that. I like that the Batman suit has to have
has
ears.
two little points.
I
Yeah.
just thought
That's
that was
funny.
great. You know what I mean? Like, I think their exosuits are just okay. That makes sense. If you're going to be down there. And there we go. So this is actually the first time we've seen any type of dark side thing anywhere. We're about, I guess, 2 to 3 issues in on everything, but this is the first issue of Aquaman. But every other book, we're 2 or 3 issues in to all in. So we'll see.
We'll
See
see.
what
It's interesting. We'll see what's up. Strong first issue.
Yeah, really, really, really good. I hope people are checking it out. All right, here we go. Hayden Sherman, my man, my number one
Yeah.
artist right now. This is very uncomfortable because I just like nails and rebar, a lot of
And
rebar in this.
yeah,
The main
screws,
villain
dude.
here is the Wound Man. He's
Screws.
called the Wound Man.
Wound man,
Blah.
come
Um,
together with your friends.
just looking at this period. Just looking at
Right.
this period. Um, this is a like I've been bitching about Marvel Comics covers recently, right? This
Mhm.
is perfect. The Aquaman cover is really good, but I don't love the logo. I think the logo should have had some little bit of should have been a little dark on the edges a little bit. But here, I just think that the logo is a perfect size. It's not taken away from the art. The coloring matches this, so like because you can technically see how this is kind of colored here. Um, it's fade coloring throughout. So I like that because I want to see nor it's not just like a flat blue. It's not just whatever's there like a white. Yeah, there's thought involved in this. So I'm not sure if the colorist was involved in that or if that's the editor. Anyway, great job, whoever is working on that. Okay. Hayden Sherman, Dan Waters.
I like that the cover just feels like it could have been a cover from like 1988, 89.
Look,
You
it could
know,
be, it
old
could even
school
be like a
DC.
Watchmen cover. It's like it's almost like it feels like that where it's like part of the story, right? We're going right into the story. It's not, but like it's integral. Batman's not on this. Remember the first cover? I don't even know what the cover of the one first cover is just Batman's chest,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. Correct.
Which I talked about that when we read it, but I also even in here, I love Hayden Sherman's Batman like design and just that the we've seen it with Superman more so with the logo being bigger and
Right.
in different spots versus like a Kurt Swan was always kind of in the same space. Sometimes it'd be a little bit bigger. Dan Moore does it pretty large on chest. But this that bat symbol is exactly what's on Batman's chest, right? Which
Yeah.
sometimes the bat symbols are a little bit different. So just overall a lot of detail. Like just looking at this stuff up here, just looking at oh man, what does that look like? God, that looks like well, I guess trying to
I
think
mean,
who else that
the,
looks like.
the,
Tim
the,
Sale. I mean, there's a
the
lot of
easy
people in
answer is
this.
Tim Sale. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where I was going with it right away. The whole feel of this book is a little Tim
Oh,
Sale-ish, but
well, yeah, those hands are like Kevin O'Neill hands a little bit. Just all around. I think that this is the best drawn book. Yeah, and then I just kind of and then the design. Yeah. So I'm saying the same stuff I have been saying. So Francesco Franco via
mm,
on like the feathering here. Tim said, but like look at how like crazy busy this panel is and the art. Like you said, does he have to do this? We're fine with him doing that. Again, I'm not telling him not to do
no.
that, but I like this. Like, look at how the detail we
Yeah,
have stuff
the
here.
vent pipe has a bend in it,
Come on,
you
man.
know.
You're drawing that. This could be most people wouldn't. This reminds me of someone mentioned. It might have been Questlove was talking about like Stevie Wonder. That's kind of a weird analogy here, but was talking about a Stevie Wonder song. So the song I believe when I fall in love, it would be forever. At the very end of that song, it's almost like a throwaway, and then it's like let's fall in love.
Yeah.
So a lot of Stevie Wonder songs, the last like 10 seconds, you're like, what was that? What are you doing? He does like a whole other song in the last like 10 seconds. I'm like, well, that could be its own song. That's its own rhythm. That could be its whole thing. That could be a whole thing. This kind of feels like that too. It's like, hey man, that could have been a whole page. That could have been a whole splash page.
And I would have loved to have seen that, but
We don't
this
need to.
tells the story. We don't
Yeah.
need it.
Yeah. I zoomed in on it. See that?
So yes, now it's like a splash page.
Yeah. See, that could have been a whole page. There you go. Oh my God. Like, look at the, and this, I don't know, man. It's just evoking a lot of different things. It's evoking a lot of different things. This reminds me of Magnolia something or other. I can't really figure it
Yeah,
out.
I feel that. I see
Um,
the future, and it will be. That's what I
that's
feel
right.
like.
There you go.
I feel like it's Tim Burton-y.
It's Prince 1989.
It is.
Seeing the future and it works. But it's so weird that that's most people because that's sold a ton. That's most people's like Prince album. It's actually Howard Stern's
It's
favorite Prince album, like period.
it's mine.
And everyone comes in and then he's always playing it and then people tell him like, yeah, I don't care about that album. So it's really funny. All right, yeah. So yeah, again, I'm just kind of doing. I mean, I could just so call. I could put. I think I almost put every single page in here.
Did you? You could almost do
Kinda.
this book panel for panel because everything's so interesting.
Man, oh man. Yeah, look at this. You got this guy like falling down drunk. It's just there's a lot of stuff going on in this. Oh, I hate this. Oh God, I hate this guy. I hate this guy. I
No,
love it.
it's horrible.
It's so gross.
It's the
It's so
grossest
gross.
Batman villain probably ever.
I don't know. Well, I guess it's just Trump. It's just pushing up like one from Mr. Zaz. Mr. Zaz was always the scariest thing to me ever.
Yeah.
Mr. Zaz is just ridiculously. And who played Mr. Zaz in things? Mr. Zaz was played by who?
Oh,
Uh
the guy from Barry and Metamorpho. He played him on Gotham like
oh yeah, that's
incredibly,
right. Yeah.
but he was played shittily. That's one of the reasons I hate
Is
the
that
Birds
Chris
of Prey
Messina?
movie.
Yeah, Chris Messina played him. It's not his fault. I think it was.
I don't think it's his fault either. I think it's like a crappy. Ugh. You know what? Because we had what's the name from Barry? What's his name? The Metamorpho actor. Uh, whatever.
Anthony
He
Cardigan or something.
he played him so good on Gotham that when you saw Birds of Prey, you're like, yeah, no, this version doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
He's like too funny or too weird. It's not Zaz enough. The Anthony played him like just perfectly creepy, just so creepy. Because Zaz is creepy. Um, but yeah. Look at this page. Another great.
Yeah, it's like I thought this at first I thought it's almost like a Magic Malone type of like private eye.
Yeah,
This was also kind of I think I zoomed in on that because this is so
it's
much like Sean Phillips. Like if you would have told me this was Sean Phillips, I would have
yes,
been like, oh yeah, that's right, that's right.
but
This
it's
feels very very much
the
like
hilariousness of seeing Batman walking down a suburban street in
I'm
the
gonna
middle of the
park up
day.
here and just walk. And I've always been a big fan of Gotham should only have those type of cars. That's it, and the Batmobile can be its own thing. Or even if the Batmobile was that, and then they just put like a fin on it. You know what I mean? I've always liked that type of stuff too. That's all fine. That's all well and good. Uh, blah, you know.
Yeah,
Oh, am I on image already? I guess so.
I guess so. All right,
Boom, your
yes.
boy,
Take another shot for Michel Fife.
your
Um,
boy.
Death of Copra, the final miniseries of the Copra ongoing series. Um, this book's beautiful. His coloring, his art, his style. This is a very simple, basic cover, perfectly using the greens, the whites, the grays. Did you put in the other covers or just this one?
Just this one. I can drop in the other ones though if needed.
The most important one to drop in is the Copra Bloodstrike cover
The
because
Brutalist cover.
yeah, there's a
Oh, okay.
yeah, that's a good cover. He's doing that every issue. He's doing another image character. Issue 2 has a dragon.
Oh,
So
you're saying it's a new alternate. It's a new Brutalist cover. It's a new Bloodstrike cover.
no, it's a Copra versus Bloodstrike cover.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Okay. Okay. I thought you meant I should grab the Brutalists and put that cover in.
Uh,
Oh, I see. Okay. No,
for
I didn't
people
know
out
that.
there, Mark knows I'm a big fan of Michel Fife's 3-issue Bloodstrike Brutalist miniseries, available in trade as well. But because Michel Fife is such a fan of Extreme, one of the variant covers to this Death of Copra #1 is Copra versus Bloodstrike.
Mm.
So very cool. So Mark will show that to you, hopefully.
Yeah, I'm like I don't know what to do with this book because basically I just kind of grabbed a couple pages because I'm like
Listen,
super super behind on this. I probably could just read it, right?
I would like to. You could, but you don't
Yeah.
fully appreciate it. Yeah, don't. You know what? Almost like don't read it.
Yeah.
Don't read it, Mark. Like this is a great explanation of everyone, and hopefully, like you could pick up this book, you could enjoy it just
Yeah.
for like
Yeah.
the amount of time he puts into this and the work he puts into it. But like if you read everything, you just appreciate everything more. It's not always an easy read because but if you read it all at once in one sitting, or and within over the course of a couple of weeks, it's probably better than waiting months in between issues.
There's
You
7 rounds. There's seven. Does
there's
that sound right?
seven. Yeah, I think there's 7 rounds.
I
That
have
collects all
five
the
of those.
trades.
Yeah.
That's all the that's the Cobra versus miniseries and the whole ongoing series. That's pretty much everything as far as Cobra goes. So yeah, I enjoyed this book. There's some dark stuff in it. He's bringing back characters you haven't seen in a while. It's a really good wrap up to the series.
It's kind of funny that um he never like employed anyone else, right? I figure
Correct.
that him being a little bit bigger now, he may be able to employ a letter, a colorist, an inker, an assistant, and maybe there
Uh,
are assistants that are uncredited, but doesn't
mm,
seem so.
I don't believe so because
Yeah.
he considers each of these boards a piece of art. I think he's coloring on the original art.
Hmm.
So I think that's amazing. I think he's doing everything. Like if you could buy a page of Copra, which I don't think you can, I think you're getting a fully colored, lettered piece of artwork.
Hmm.
And I find that super interesting. But he doesn't like letting go. Like he went to Image and then went back to self-publishing. And what I mean by self-publishing is you got to go on like his Etsy store to order the book, and then he delivers it to you. He
Right.
sends it out to you.
Right.
Like he was doing every step of the way, and he's kind of doing it with this. I think he's still doing like a variant edition that he's self-publishing to go along with the Image edition.
Oh, that's interesting. And then he puts out, yeah, and then I know that the first 10 issues, I think because there's a deluxe edition, which I think has a lot of process stuff in that. So I don't know. I
He
should see if that's on
he
sale or
he did
something.
a whole process book called I think it's called The Making of Copra,
Oh,
and
okay.
it's
So
just
that's not the special edition, right? So that's so
I don't
special
think so.
edition
I
is
think
just Copra. So there is a separate making of Copra book.
yeah, I think he like
Oh
kickstarted it
wow.
last
Okay.
year. You if you go on his Patreon, which I'm not a member of, he has a lot of process on there, like a lot. So definitely worth it. You know, if you're like, I'm hardcore enough where I should be on there. I'm just like not yet.
Shocked. Shocked you're not.
I know.
Yeah.
I love these guys. I love
It's all
Vive.
dollars,
I love.
man. I have a Liam Sharp Substack, and I just have the regular, and he gives a lot of stuff. But today was like, you should join. There's it's $8 a month, and I'm like, I'm just like, I
You know,
should.
you could. The cheap thing you do is pick the month where you have the most time off from work. Do it
Hmm.
for a month. Go do everything for a year, and
Yeah.
then unsubscribe. And then next year, go to that month again.
Oh, I
That's
see.
you know,
Right,
you're still
right,
giving
right.
them money. You're still paying them money, but like,
Yeah,
but you got to go read like a year's worth of stuff in like a month.
yeah. Yeah, there's a
That's
lot of process stuff
that's what
for the
people do
Liam
with
Sharp stuff.
Apple Plus. I know people who do that. They'll go sign up for Apple Plus for a month or two and just try to get everything in.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Well, be interesting to see. I sent you on Instagram. Did you see what they did at Grand Central Station?
No.
So Severance, so the cast of Severance, they did a set of Severance inside Grand Central Station. In Grand Central Station, I want to say there's some type of cube that people
Okay.
perform in.
I saw the
Do you know
cube
about
thing.
this?
I didn't know
Yeah.
what it was.
It's
I didn't know.
literally
I didn't.
every actor
Okay.
in Severance in their cubicles talking to each other, ignoring everyone. And everyone's watching them in the fishbowl. And Ben Stiller was there kind of
Uh,
filming it and stuff with us, but they were doing it like all day. They were in there for 4 or 5 hours. Like
that's
that's
incredible.
really cool. Yeah, so that's a
I
cool
can't.
marketing.
When's that? It's coming back soon, right?
I think this week, next week. I think it's pretty soon. So, I of course grabbed this page because I'm a huge lettering geek, and we've talked a lot about and showcased a lot about in the podcast and the we of course know this is him. I always have the question of who's doing it, but making the actual decisions, this is very much like that looks like a Kevin O'Neill, but then you have almost like a John Workman, Simonson type of thing in there. Any type of Raka or Thaka, whatever, Crack of Doom. I'm
Yeah.
always thinking of John Workman. Um, yeah, there we go. Yeah, look at that.
Look at that. It's just drawn on there, man.
And then he's got
And
the stone cracks in there. You know, that's
yeah,
super fun,
because
man.
every page is a piece of art to him.
Yeah, yeah, and he's using different. Like, look at that. He's using like I don't know, some type of charcoal brush or even probably maybe even a toothbrush. I know that old school, the guy I'm trying to remember who drew the Confessor. Remember the Confessor, which was I worked at a
Are,
comic book store
are
called
you talking about the like your boys, the Confessor?
yeah. Yeah, I'm talking about Legends Comics and Game like written by Dan Hirsch and Charlie Tyson and the owners of the comic shops I worked at one of their workers they did like a horror book. It's called the Confessor. But I remember being in Plymouth Meeting when he was drawing it, and had pages out, and he's using a toothbrush and was like inking with the toothbrush. So it was the first time I ever saw that. So it's pretty cool.
Do you still have any copies of the Confessor, Mark?
I do have a copy of the Confessor. I know I do have. I don't have it. I should have it signed, but no, I do have it somewhere. Well, it's over there. It's in C.
All
I do
right.
have it, but I think I lost it or something. But I found it in a dollar bin. Like,
Did you?
yeah, like within the last
That's
year.
so awesome, dude.
Yeah.
I wish I could come across like some of my books that I've done. I haven't done a whole lot, but every once in a while I'll see them on eBay, and I'm like, look, there's my Youngblood bootleg edition
Oh,
book I did.
yeah, but I found my uh the real comics from like the real stories from a comic book store. I found it in Plunder Palace. You know, it was me, and the guy knew. He's like, "Oh, I thought that was your name," and he's like, "I read that," and I'm like, "Well, it's like 4 pages long, but
Right,
clearly
right.
about a comic book lettering." But
I
yeah,
remember.
so again, Michael Fife. Uh, I never finished. So okay, so next book, The Lucky Devils,
Yeah,
from uh Charles Soule, Ryan Brown, who've done this is their third. They did Curse Words
curse words,
and
8 billion
Billion
genies.
Genies.
Right.
So always kind of high concept. And I like Ryan Brownie. I would say Ryan Brownie because oh, and I just saw that it's a Silent E production. That's kind of fun. Charles Soule,
Oh
Ryan
yeah,
Brown.
yeah. That's right. I did
I
know
guess
that.
that's their company, right?
Yes.
But Ryan Brownie, because there is a Ryan Brown. There is a different Ryan Brown who does a lot of variant covers. He's kind of like an art gem, very smooth. So
Yeah,
if you see a
yeah.
Ryan Brown cover that
Like
doesn't
I
look like
heard,
this,
like Herb Trimpe is Trimpy. I always thought it was Trimp.
right?
And Steve Scrosy, it's not Scrose, it's Scrosy. Didn't
True.
know that till recently.
Everyone knows whatever they want.
It's
I'm
true.
Leon. I'm Leone. Who knows? Who knows?
Sienkiewicz
Mark
is actually,
Rigatoni.
I think it's actually Sienkiewicz, but like he goes, no, my grandfather says Sienkiewicz, so I say Sienkiewicz.
Yeah, we all said Sankovics
We all did
forever.
Sienkiewicz,
You
but I
know,
think it's like
so
Sienk. I think it's Sienkiewicz or
do we
something.
know who at Bacalo is? Bacalo or
No,
Bacalo? Do we know
I've told
this?
you this numerous times.
We do it
That
every
one,
episode.
that one is officially Bicella.
Nah, I'm not doing it. I'm not
That's the
doing it.
one I know. That's one of the ones I know for a fact. Like Dan Panosian is not Dan Panosian. It's
Panosian.
Panosian.
I'm going Panosian.
Art
Um,
Dibert is Art T Bear.
or T Bear, yeah. Well, he would actually. I think he had that in a couple of books. Something like you put
T and
E
a
Bear,
yeah, yeah.
and drew a little. It's not he drew a little bear. But Ryan Brownie um, did a webcomic a long time for God Hates Astronauts, and then they had a. There's a really good
Web
if
comic, self-published, image comic,
yeah.
Kickstarter. Like
If
you
you get
name it, he's done it.
Volume Zero is like super pure. It's it makes you jealous how many ideas are in it, man. I don't know if you ever read that. It's
No,
ridiculous.
no.
You'd read it and
I
go
have a
like,
few of them.
there's
I want to
so
read it.
many things in it. There's so
I
many
guess
ideas in it. You're like,
I'm
God
waiting.
damn
I
it.
guess I'm waiting to get them all. That's always been my motif is like, let me get everything and then
Gotta
I'll
catch
read
them
it.
all.
Dude.
I think there is I think he did a couple Kickstarters. I want to say that there is either a full master edition or something,
Yeah, some sort of omnibus version.
Um, but I didn't finish Curse Words and I didn't finish 8 Billion Genies. So
I finished 8 billion. I finished 8 billion genies. I liked it. Curse words I didn't start,
yeah,
but now that I've read 8 billion genies, and of course I read this, I'm like, yeah, let me go back and read curse words.
I liked this a lot. I thought this was excellent. So basically, you have two people kind of going through their lives, but having some bad luck of things, right?
They're good people with bad luck.
Yeah. So these basically like, devil on your shoulders type of things, like they're not supposed to reveal themselves
Right,
to, but they're supposed to be the
right.
people that kind of tell you
They're
uh,
trying to make them
what
do
to do.
wrong things, but they just won't. Like these people are so good.
They're pure, yeah, they're
Yeah,
pure souls, right? So they're trying to corrupt them because they're trying to kind of shake the foundations
yeah.
of
They get
hell,
promoted.
basically.
They get promoted if they get people to do the wrong thing.
Yeah.
So they're trying to figure out a way to utilize these people and their goodness for power.
Yeah, I would like. I mean, this would be a really good issue to give someone. I don't want to really kind of go through all the story beats or the plots and everything like that. But you know, um, a lot of
Too
creativity
late.
in this. You know, it's too late. It's too late. But yeah, I'd be curious. I'm not sure if this is finite or what or how many issues they're thinking on this
I'm
thing
sure it's
or
finite because I think he takes a while to draw, like not an
yeah,
overly amount of time, but enough to like doing a miniseries every year and a half seems to be about right.
yeah.
So
Yeah, this is a little looser. His art's a little looser. It looked a lot in a couple different areas. It looked a lot like Chris Burnham. Looked a lot like Frank Quietly. There's a lot of
it's
scratch
some
on
Derek
here.
Robertson. It's all yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's neat.
Also, I know
Is
he
he
does
coloring?
the. I don't know. I think so. I think so. And then
All
the
right.
other thing he does too, he does a lot of things. I think there's one where he hits somebody there. I think it's just like thwack or something like that. He usually does little jokes inside of that. He did that in God Hates Astronauts too.
Yeah, he's definitely for in jokes and backgrounds and that's 8 Billion Genies is just so much going on all the time. It's like reading a, a Kurtzman, Will Elder bad comic, like
Hmm.
just so much stuff going on in the background,
Yeah, I
you
guess I
know?
didn't think about that. Yeah, it's almost like a Jack Davis type of line too, right? It's loose. It's
Yeah. Oh yeah,
loose.
this guy's definitely a fan of Mad Magazine.
Yeah, that makes sense. And Charles Soule is a lawyer. Is he
Yeah.
still a lawyer?
I don't know.
So
It's
practicing lawyer? It's kind of
good
crazy.
question. It's a good question, Mark.
Good question, Mark. There we go. All right, here we go. This is
Look,
it. Is this your book of the week?
it
Transformers 16.
yeah, dude. It almost always is. It's
Yeah,
just too it's too well written, too well
look at that
drawn.
blur. Look at
I
that
love the
blurring.
characters. Yeah.
We talk about that
Yeah.
every week because somebody's doing that every week, kind of, whether it be, there's something every week that has a little bit of that, which was, I first saw it in a BPRD issue with the really freaky, like, Wendigo thing. Remember the Wendigo, the
Yes.
white, oh God, the
Yes.
albino Wendigo. God, so scary. Is that double? Is that saying the same thing, basically? No, maybe, maybe not. Um, but yeah, that's the first time James Harren was the first time I ever seen that. Daniel Warren Johnson is overtly, let's see, he even said in many interviews was the first time he saw James Harren draw stuff. He's like, I need to draw comic books. And then transitioned. He was a teacher. He was a couple of different professions, but I think Daniel Warren Johnson was a teacher, like for, and then he's like, I need to just really focus on this. And then, here he is, still doing it live,
Still doing it, dude.
doing it live. And I'm waiting until was it The Moon is Following Us? There's one or two more issues left of that. I think that's eight
Yeah.
issues. One or two more issues, then I think I'm just going to do a whole thing.
Okay. I'll
You
I'll
know,
reread it, or at least I'll glance at it again.
has that been
'Cause
good, or have you just been
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
briefly reading it?
It's been good. I
Uh,
like Riley Rossimo. I liked him for a while.
yeah. Here's the Jorge Corona alternate.
Look at
You
this
know,
cover, dude. Bruticus. It's the Devastator combiners, Bruticus and Devastator versus Bruticus was on the other cover to 16.
oh yeah,
Yeah. This is just so tragic. Cliff Jumper's going around. All his like friends and family have been killed, and he's kind of got like some of their sparks saved up, and they want to make a new Transformer out of it. I'm like, what? That's just insane.
yeah. The continuity of what they're doing here, and this I know we talk about it every single issue, but like the face acting is, I feel like the emotions on all this stuff is just
This
really
this book this book is a tragedy.
oh
That's the
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
This Transformers book is a tragedy. People are dying. Look at this. Look at what he says. There's only pieces of each of my friends left. His friends, like they're gone. They're dead. Like, you can't imagine stuff like this. Like, we live here in America where we're pretty safe. But when you think about, like, if you lived in the Ukraine or in the Gaza Strip right now, like,
Mm,
your friends are dead. People who did nothing, live next to you, are dead.
yeah.
It's just, your house is gone, or you look at the poor people in California with the fires right now. Let me bring this podcast way down.
Yeah,
But
way to go.
that's the way this
So
Transformers comic
this
makes you feel.
depressing ass Transformers
It
comic.
is because even when they win or
Uh,
they succeed, it's still at a cost.
there's usually something, yeah. That's sometimes it's literally parts of their body, right? Like it's
Yeah.
literally, Optimus has Megatron's arm still, right?
Yes.
They haven't rushed and we're on issue 16, 17. Like, oh my gosh. Um, but
It's a
yeah, this
smart
is.
move.
But I wonder what I wonder if he's a Christian. I wonder what his like theology is, Danny Warren Johnson, because he's doing a lot of fun stuff with like having Optimus is at like the spark plug being inside of Optimus, basically,
I
right?
would say he was probably at the very least raised Christian
Yeah.
because there's pieces of that in The Moon Will Follow Us. There's pieces of that in
Uh
Do a Power Bomb. I mean,
do power
I mean,
bombs and
it's very, you know what I
yeah.
mean?
Right. Yeah.
So if he's not still Christian, he was at least raised, I like to say I lean Christian.
Yeah.
I'm not crazy right wing Christian, not but like,
Yeah, I'm
I
Italian, so
shouldn't
I
I
wake
shouldn't
up
sound so mean. Yeah,
Christian and guilty. Yeah.
that's right. Catholic, right?
Yeah, my soul. It's okay. I won't burst in the flames I was baptized. I got some water on my head, Rob. So
It's
I'm
good.
fine.
Yeah, I do that a couple times a week, Mark.
Oh, I see. I see what you did there. But
Jay
it
did
wasn't
there.
blessed by a priest, so
We don't know that.
yeah, I guess we don't. So but yeah, I just so this kind of concept here, I wonder what they're going to do, or because there hasn't been any new in any of these books, right? So the GI Joe book does have a new character, right? The Thundercats, even though it's not the same universe, Dynamite's doing Thundercats, but there is a new Thundercat, basically.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah, we
right?
haven't
So
seen any new Transformers yet in
correct.
this series.
So this is kind of building to this. We've seen uh, changes, especially with Starscream on top of a his tank and like, they're
Yeah.
just kind of crazy shit here. But yeah, this fight's really, 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 really ridiculous. Look at that.
That's insane, dude.
Feels huge, man. It feels, and I do like that we have things down here, right? Because there's Starscream going right for Soundwave, right? So like you just have, yeah, I just kind of look at that, dude. So I wonder. I mean, we kind of said, is this a thing where they're photocopying and then I don't know. It might just be just scribbles. It might just be either some effect or
It
a
could be an
different
inking.
marker tool.
Yeah.
And it more than maybe this is digital. I'm not sure. But look at this,
But did
dude.
you notice this? This page here, you clearly see that's a train.
Yeah,
Could be, could be kind of traced. The wheels are very, very good.
the wheel in the sky keeps on turning.
The page
Right there.
before, you can see. Yes, I see what you did there. The page before, or the next page, you can see like the different parts of the construction vehicles.
Oh yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah. It could
the,
be
the
something
tank
that you could
treads.
pop it up to
But guess what?
either trace
That's
it.
a tool,
Fine.
Mark. It's a tool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, a lot of
Utilize it.
times when I was doing some of the Jack Kirby stuff, when I was drawing on my Instagram, I would find something, put it in Photoshop, and then like lighten it. Then I was doing an experiment where I was doing Jacktober, but I would literally was basically trying to turn a Jack Kirby drawing into pencils, and then I was inking it, but I was inking over another inker, which actually was kind of a cool uh, education because I could see the difference between Mike Royer or Joe Sinnott or Vinny
Right.
Coletta. Like, so it was like I was getting an education on how to handle Kirby pencils, right? So it was fun, man. That was fun. That's what is it? February? It's almost February. Uh,
Yeah.
Got to warm up. I should be doing something. I should be drawing something every day or every other day. I was a little I thought the storytelling, and I think last year you had something similar too, where I wasn't sure what was going on. I don't really know what's going on here. I was going to ask you. I don't know what I'm looking at here. Is he
It's
taking?
the remote control to the his tank.
Ah, okay. I didn't get
That's
that.
you see, it's real small at his fingers. Like you can barely see it, but you can see that it's a remote control. So like the next
Oh,
panel, he like moves it, and that's when Starscream like drives out of there. You
I
see,
see.
see this panel here
Oh,
with the
okay,
fist.
okay. There we go. Okay. I see. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't really sure. That's interesting. But like how fun is it that you're just doing like rather than do like a circle zoom, that's usually what you see.
Mhm.
Usually you'll see who was that? Andrew Sorrentino would do that all the time in like Green Arrow. You would have like a circle and then
Mhm.
they would show you whatever was on like, Green Arrow, basically. Um but look at even just like this curmudgeon. Look at this face. This grump.
Yeah, it's like damaged. He's
Oh yeah,
missing an
yeah.
eye. It's like
Yeah,
almost like
they're
it's
beat
like
up,
it looks like
man.
it's palsied. The way you ever see a palsy victim with the one side of the face
Oh
kind
yeah,
of,
yeah, yeah.
you
Yeah,
know.
they are beat up. Um, yeah, they're really, really beat up. Yeah. There's so much, and again, we're not, typically with a lot of whenever there's like quote unquote like a fill-in or the B artist, right? This is the way I feel about the Hulk right now. I know the Hulk came out this week, and I love Nick Klein. Nick Klein's doing all the covers, but I feel like Danny Earls is a great B.
Yeah.
And this is like Corey Corona. Like, I'm not like, hey, when's Andrew Warren Johnson coming back? As far as I know, I have no idea. I'm not sure if he's starting his new
We
project.
don't know if he's coming back. Would it'd be nice if he came back for the last six issues, or at the
Yeah,
very least the last issue. But this guy, I don't mind him doing everything. Like I don't
because
need Daniel Warren Johnson to come back.
he's leaving. Is that at
I
25
think
issues or
20
something like that?
I think 24 is Daniel Warren Johnson's last issue.
Hmm.
I know it's hard, dude.
It's a little uncertain because again, there was such a heavy publishing plan, and I feel like they did. I feel like they left money on the table. I've said this a couple of times where Image just Skybound rather like left money on the table. However, if there was a certain vision, it couldn't be. If Danny Warren's vision is there, it's not diluted out. I feel like when
Also,
it first the press release, it was this was coming out, and I swear I should go back and look at. I swear it said that Danny Warren Johnson was going to do an Optimus Mini, and then I don't know. Like I don't know if he was supposed to start this, then do an Optimus Mini, and someone else was going to draw this. I don't really know, but I
I
feel
don't
like
know.
that was there. But if you think about uh, the publishing plan, you have the Larry Hama book, Real American Hero, sure. The G.I. Joe book was planned out after four,
Four
five,
miniseries, yeah, four, I think. I think
four,
four.
right? Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's a lot. That's So you had there were about four, there were four. So you had 16 or 20. I think there were 4 or 5 issues. Is that right? Does that sound right? Four or
yeah.
five. So you
Usually,
had
yeah,
almost
between four and
20
five.
issues in the can before you started G.I. Joe 1.
Right.
So you had 20 issues of that Energon continuity, and then it leads into G.I.
Well,
Joe 1, which
I mean,
reads
technically
fresh.
speaking, we got Void Rivals, which is Transformers adjacent.
Yeah, but to me, that's Oblivion Song team. My brain
It
is just
is.
saying it's an Oblivion Song, not sequel, but it's Oblivion Song's
Well,
team.
if you were caught up on Void Rivals, the most recent issue is very heavy Transformers.
Mm.
So get caught up on that book.
Yeah, I gotta just read it again. My old man brain, that's why I feel like everything I'm reading right now is stuff that I read or characters that I was everything's 1984, 1985, 1986. Like that's where I'm at. It's where I'm at. So I'm happy about this.
Yep.
Spoilers,
It's
not
I
dead.
brought a smiley face to me
Yeah,
using his powers. Perfect timing.
yeah,
Also,
that's
the
really
fact that
fun.
Prime had to destroy the dam to get them to stop fighting to save people. Whew, that's a huge measure to go through. And this scene's incredible. I thought for a second he killed Laserbeak.
I did too. Yeah, I did
I'm like,
too. And I was
no.
yeah.
But what they do is even cooler. He's seeing through his eyes. Look at him, missing an arm, no eyes, utilizing Laserbeak as the second as his only set of eyes. Too awesome,
Right. He doesn't have his one arm. Right. It just
right?
but I do like how big like these legs are here. I think that's
Yeah,
really fun. You know, that's really fun. I love it. I love it. So again, so we have seven issues left,
yeah,
basically.
roughly
I would imagine they have to announce something relatively soon and say like, okay, here we go. We're gonna
eight.
do X.
Yeah, we got 8 issues left.
8 issues
So
left.
yeah, and we don't know. We don't know if like issue 24 start coming around and Kirkman manages to work another deal with them. Say, hey, we like your stay on his plotter. Stay.
Yeah.
We like this direction. I don't know. I don't know who he's worked best with. Who who's written for him? Who's has he ever worked with anyone other than himself?
You work with Justin Jordan, I believe, on that one Fleet book, the truck book. I think that's it though. But Justin Jordan, I don't know.
Where's he at?
I don't know.
I haven't seen him in a while. Like
That
I
would kind
liked
of
his I liked
ooh,
his Trad Moore comic. What was that called?
Luther Strode.
Yeah, that was really good. Did you ever read that?
I have I read it, and this sounds weird. I read the whole thing while my mom was in the hospital. I read the entire because I got the big thick book.
Yeah.
You know, I got which is all three miniseries and some extras, and I got it for like 10. I think it might have been $7 or $10, something like that.
Oh, nice.
And that's like a $40 book. It's not. It's all three series. And yeah, that's a great, really good one sit read. But I read that in like I think 2 hours. My mom was in the hospital.
It's a quick read.
Yeah, but you can soak in it a little bit. I know that Trad Moore when he went to Marvel, he did the Ghost Rider series with
Hmm.
Felipe Smith, and that kind of set that up. And then he did the Doctor Strange series, which I feel like what that he wrote or he co-wrote with I think his wife or girlfriend, but I felt that was pretty unreadable. I never finished it. I just was kind of bored by it. I knew they made like a big, almost tabloid size of that, which you can probably get for the art. But he was doing almost like was it Max Ray? Who's the pop art guy? I'm trying to think of who that is. But that's what I felt like it was going more towards, like almost like magical mystery tour type of like art
All right.
towards the ends, and it just kind of was like way off the rails. So I don't know, but yeah, it would be interesting if they would potentially just do, what if Justin Jordan and Tradmore didn't issue Transformers? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want to say Tradmore did do Transformers. He did a variant or something. That
A variant's
sounds
very likely.
it
I
sounds
don't
like
what's he
something.
been doing lately? Like I love that Silver Surfer book that came out 5 years ago with him and Donny
Yeah,
Cates, right?
I have that. So
He did
black.
a Suicide Squad one shot. I think Tim Seeley or no, Jim Zub might have wrote it. It was like
Oh,
they did it together, but then it wasn't published for like 2 years, and then DC put it out in one of those, they just were putting out like
hmm.
unpublished stuff for a couple months.
I don't
Maybe
know what that
maybe
is at
during the
all.
pandemic.
I gotta look that up. I don't know that at all. It's a blind spot. Blind spot. So here we go.
Oh.
Some Marvel stuff. Marvel books. Hooray. Here we go. Another Amazing Spider-Man issue, which is going to, so you call, we're on the phone. So listen, as much as we talk on the days we talk even more, if you can believe it. If you can believe that. So we were talking earlier today because we are just befuddled by the Amazing Spider-Man news. We reported a couple weeks back that they're rebooting this
Yes,
again to a number one.
but we
So
were
after issue
questioning
like
it.
68 or 69, then they're just going to go to number one,
And
you
see,
know?
we questioned it because Joe Kelly always seemed like a weird choice. Like he's a talented Spider-Man writer, but they're bringing him back. And so they didn't bother to relaunch the book because it's just bringing back Joe Kelly. So then they announced they're going to relaunch it. And we're like, why are they relaunching it? He's already doing this. That's the Spider-Man, the eight That's the Spider-Man storyline.
Yeah.
And then it kind of hit us like, oh yeah, Batman Hush is being coming out next year. So Marvel's like, well, we could try to either take some of those sales or use the attention of people coming to the comic store to get new Jim Lee Batman to
Yeah,
buy
yeah.
a new Spider-Man. And we'll bring in Pepe Larraz, who's like probably one of their best top five, top 10 artists at
Sure.
Marvel.
Yeah.
You know, it's a smart move. Um, it's a kind of a shitty move because you're trying to purposely go after Jim Lee's Batman sales numbers. I think on a clean month, this book's gonna do great no matter what. But I
Yeah,
think it's
yeah.
gonna do a little bit less because they're relaunching Spider-Man like the same time.
Yeah, they're not thinking about, I mean, I'm sure that they're in it for
And that
their own
and that's
thing,
just
but they're
going
not
by
thinking about the stores, what
no,
the
because
stores cash that they have.
that's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
These stores only have so much money to spend, and it's easy to take one risk a month, but you can't take two risks a month or three risks a month. You know,
Yeah, I mean, now we're in the new year clearly, but like you and I've been talking, we listen to a lot of different podcasts. We listen to Off Panel, and we listen to, of course, Rob Liefeld's podcast, where different retailers are on, and they're going over how the last year has been, or what's been good for them, what's been necessary, what they didn't risk on, and what the risk works, et cetera. So it's really hard to say because again, I know that Ultimate Spider-Man sells really well, but storytelling wise for me, I dislike that book immensely. Like
see,
I don't like the way that it's laid out. I don't like that hardly anything happens in it. Every issue comes out, I get more and more frustrated with it. I need some stuff to happen.
yeah,
It's
if you're
like
not going to do, it's really funny how much we've been doubling down on the 787. Like, I, I
against
lo-
Hickman, which is hilarious, for reasons that we've talked about multiple times,
right, but Ultimate Spider-Man is like one of Marvel's best-selling books still. Like, it's a
Correct.
consistently decent read.
I have a theory on that. But my new theory on that, I'm probably not the only one with this theory, is that we don't ever there are new you've said this multiple times. There's no new comic fans, man. There's no 16,
Yes.
17-year-old comic fans. So why Peter Parker here is not married to Mary Jane, that they don't have a baby, like it's not doing anything. So but everyone is fascinated with when the Spider Verse movie comes out. I was Peter B. Parker for Halloween 2 years in a row, 3 years in a row,
Right.
because it's
Right.
pretty easy cosplay. Number one, I'm
And
overweight. Perfect. Did
and now
that.
you use it for cosplay with your girl. She's she's sick of it.
She's like,
She's
she's
like,
like,
yeah,
this guy
yeah.
again. You're playing Peter B. Parker again. I'm like, oh, that's me. Yeah, you're playing a
That's
sad divorced dad. Way to go. So, but again, pretty easy. Sweatpants, a Spider-Man shirt, like a trench coat, two
yeah, yeah.
different shoes. That's what I call Tuesday. That's
Yeah,
not even
like
like a different outfit for me. You know what I'm saying?
Marvel,
Like,
you can get new Spider-Man fans. You can, because when you get a good cartoon movie, regular live action movie, the kids still love Spider-Man, but the kids aren't buying the Spider-Man comic, and
yeah,
that's
the
and
Tom
that's where
Holland
like
Spider-Man. Technically, there should be, and I feel like Disney Plus is trying to do something with that, but I feel like it's going all, you know, it's going. I
yeah,
think it's going too far away from. Uh,
that's the 29th. January 29th is that cartoon. So we'll see.
uh, mm,
The other thing people don't get about comic stores, Mark, is that comic stores work on a small profit margin. At best, you're getting 50% off of a comic.
mm.
Okay. And then you're given discounts and you got overhead. Any other store in the
And
mall
shipping costs.
and shipping cost. Any other store in the mall, they're buying, if a shirt's $10, they're probably spending $1 on it or 50 cents from another country,
Yeah,
you know? So their markup is like 90%, 95%. You're making so much money. Comics, you're only making half the cover price.
mm. A
So,
dollar or two.
right. So it's a minimal. So comic stores don't make, even the best comic stores, they're not making millionaires, you know?
Right, right. Yeah, I
Any
just
a store would go out of business if they had to live off of the profit margins of a comic store.
well, we lost two stores within miles of us, this year. Yeah, I mean they're gone, so all right. So let's flip it back.
Let's dig in. Spiraling back.
Flip it back, spiral it back. We got a positivity. Number one, I'm loving Bagley Ink and Bagley, right? This is the
Bagley,
fourth or
Ink and
fifth
Bagley,
issue.
and Eisenov colors to make it feel like an ultimate cover.
Um, I don't know. Yeah, I think the depth of the Spider-Man, like all the definition here is really fun. And I know that some of the art that he's done recently, I know that Nick had him on the show. I didn't think he had him, but he had some of the art on one or two shows back.
Nick
Nick
Nick who Mark?
Berrucci,
Okay.
creator of Dynamite Comics, Dynamic
Di-
Forces,
right.
etc. But he does on his YouTube, Instagram, the experience. Does like a live stream like once a week where he sells a lot of either his own personal collection original art or he's getting some art from that. He's had a couple different fundraisers. George Perez, sold some George Perez stuff for the Perez family, basically. But I've seen some of the black and white stuff. It's been on his Instagram, and I'm like, whew, like it's cool. I mean, he's semi-retired, back to semi-retired. That's cool.
Right.
But it would be interesting if he could get with someone like a DeMatteis or something and just did like a graphic novel and just took his time, like do a special project or something. Would be pretty neat. And just put Eisenhower on the colors, perfect. If he wants to ink himself, clearly, he's never inked himself. I don't think maybe ever. Um, uh, you know, who's your favorite Bagley anchor? That's a good question.
Probably John Dell.
Mm.
I think he's really like people are going to jump to Live
Randy
Scene's good.
Emberlin.
Randy Emberlin is very classic. He's very nostalgic.
Yeah, that's phenomenal.
Scott Hanna did him probably a lot. Townsend did a good job. T Bear on Ultimate Spider-Man was really good. But John Dell is just he's one of my favorite inkers that like people don't talk about. Like he's
Mm.
Porter's best inker. He's
Yeah,
Jimmy Chung's best inker, other than
yeah,
themselves. He's just, and that's what I see when I see the Spider-Man, like the outlines of the muscles and stuff. I feel like it's a little John Dell-ish. Um,
yeah. And all the floating heads are good too. Which the floating heads sometimes can be a little. Sometimes when Jared is floating heads, you're like, all right, I don't love it, but I like all of this. I've liked all this.
yeah,
I'm a little lost in the story. Okay, number one, I don't know that's okay. That's Phil Coulson, right?
right. And he's death now.
I have no idea.
I,
I
I
don't
feel like
know.
I feel like I saw that somewhere.
I have zero idea. It doesn't seem like
They
I
don't
don't
come out and
believe.
say it right away.
I know, but I just don't believe in Phil Coulson as a Marvel character. I'm not doing it. I've never wanted it. Zero.
Oh no, I've never minded the idea of taking from a movie. It's just that in the movies he's such a great character, and I watched all of Agents of Shield, and I love Clark Gregg, right? Clark Gregg,
Yeah.
not Greg Clark, right?
Clark Gregg. It was what's his name? Yeah. No, Clark Gregg is Greg. Yeah, Clark Gregg is in Kick-Ass. He was in The Office too. That's different
That's
than.
right. That's right.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right with it. And was he not Euro Trip? He was in something like Euro Trip.
He's in Hot Tub Time Machine.
Yeah, he isn't top. Yeah, that's right.
He's in a lot of yeah. He was kind of
He's always
the
like the
B or
friend.
C player. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
best friend. He's a
Um,
kick ass. He's in kick ass, right? Isn't he one of the friends
yeah,
in kick
he's in
ass?
Kick-Ass.
Yeah,
It's him and Luke Evans, right?
I forget it was.
Wait a minute, Luke Evans? No,
No,
Evan
no,
Peters.
Evan Peters. Yeah, and then
Yeah,
they had to replace Evan Peters.
right, because he was at Did American Horror Story by that time,
Yeah.
and there was no looking back for him.
Yeah, so this series is kind of just disappointing me because I feel like it was supposed. I feel like the promise of it when it started, it was like different costume each issue, and that hasn't really been. It's kind of been the same. The artist has been almost the same. We've only had, I think, one McGinnis issue so far.
Yeah, that was the problem with for me is the promise of Ed McGuinness. I'm like, yeah, Ed McGuinness, Joe Kelly,
Yeah,
Juggernaut style villain, Sidorak. Like this is really neat stuff. And the villains have all been kind of cool looking, but like, well, first of all, we didn't get two issues written by Joe Kelly, which was weird, but you didn't know it by reading them. The second one
yeah,
was a little more dialogue heavy than it probably Joe Kelly would have written. And
because it
there's a
was like
lot.
Kelly just then that chick just to Ireland for two
Yeah,
issues.
right.
Now we're back to Kelly. Next issue is crap. The issue that's coming out next week
Oh, the death issue,
is 65
65.
point death.
That's right. That sounds like a
So
new.
it's not there's no legacy numbering on it. So it's like because what's the legacy number on this thing? It's
Nine.
959.
Yeah,
So technically you could have done 41 more issues, or you could do 40 issues in I guess 2 years, if you did it the right way, basically, right? Some
that's a lot.
biweekly, some stuff,
That's a lot. No, like 3 years.
yeah.
We
I
don't
don't know.
want. Yeah, but regardless, yeah,
But if you did it
it's
bi-weekly, you had 24 issues, 24/48 if you kind of just did some on the biweekly. Amazing. Again, there's no spectacular, there's no Spider-Man. So
right.
it used to be weekly. We did have it weekly for a bit, but it doesn't have to be number one. It could be 1,000. They're going to do a 1,000 at 40 issues. So I don't know what I'm
Yes.
talking about. That's
Yeah.
the kind of the trouble with that is that, because I think Hulk did that. We complained about that. Where it was like Hulk like eight. It was like Hulk 800. It was like or whatever.
Yeah. But also, we also know that their legacy numbers don't add up the way we would add them up to.
No, no. Because Hulk did they even do the it's like 5 issues of Hulk and then it goes like 100. You know what I mean? So that doesn't even make any
Yeah.
sense.
Six
So
issues. You got 6 issues of Hulk, and then you got
Tales of
40 issues of
Astonish.
Hulk in Tales to Astonish. And then at 102, they changed it to the Hulk.
Ay, ay, ay. Is
I can
Cap the
keep,
same way? You know,
yes. Well, yeah, because you had how many issues of Cap did you have in the 30s or the 40s and 50s? Like a good solid 50, 60,
30,
70.
yeah, 30 to 50, yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So, and then they put Cap in Tales of Suspense,
Mhm.
and then they give him that book at 100.
Right.
Hulk gets 102, Cap gets it at 100, and it's just all of a sudden Cap 100.
Cap 100.
I think, but I feel like Cap might have had the most relaunches.
Yeah,
But
we'll
the
have to
problem is
do. They
when these
get
books
muddy.
when they split up, like when Steve Rogers and Falcon have their own Captain America books at the same time, you're like, well, which one kind of counts? For me, it's Steve Rogers.
I don't know what they counted because you're right. They just recently was it Lansing and Kelly had both books
Yeah,
recently, right? And
hmm
then they canceled both books. And
right.
now it's just Sam. And Sam has legacy numbering,
Yes.
which I was at work today and the guy, because he knows I know comic books, I was at work today and Jordan asked me, he said, "Hey, was was Sam Wilson ever Cap?" And I was like, "Yeah, he was." And I'm like vetting it, and he's like, "It's a bit of a stretch." And I'm like, "This guy,
Mark, I had that
like,
conversation yesterday. He's like,
it's a
he
bit
goes,
of a stretch." I think it's funny. And I told him, I said, "Look, it's kind of like the '70s right now." He's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "The '60s was all the main players, right? And then when the ideas kind of dried up, they're like, all right, we're just gonna make so and so, and that's when they did like replacement heroes where they did like B and C. So they'll like, how about Ghost Rider? But they've already done a lot of those things.
yeah,
But you're talking Bronze Age. You already did some of the Bronze Age stuff. Um, the problem is, I kind of told him, I said, look, these actors get old. They ain't gonna do. Robert Downey Jr.'s 60 something. He doesn't really, well, they're bringing him back. But even when that happened, that is already has some blowback. A lot of people are kind of like, it seems a little desperate. We're all kind of in the conversation. It was cool for the announcement, but that movie's not even in filming production, and people are all kind of like, "Are we sure we want to do that? We sure we want Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom?" I don't know. You
I don't
know?
know. A guy from work yesterday, the guy who helped me at work, I was telling you, he's like, we're talking about the Marvel movies.
Oh yeah,
He goes, I don't get it. Why is Falcon Captain America? He goes, shouldn't it be Bucky? Wasn't Bucky Cap in the
yeah. See,
comics?
yeah,
And I
also
see,
true. Hmm.
people know, people have a little bit of knowledge. I said, you're right. I said, he was Bucky. Bucky was Cap. I said, but Falcon was too. He goes, oh, okay. He goes, but he doesn't have any super soldier serum. He's just a dude with wings.
So
I said,
it's so funny to Super Soldiers there. That's cool, man. Good.
it is.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I said, you're right. He goes, maybe he should get like hurt and he gets a blood transfusion or something. I said, it would only help him. Everyone else was going to kick his butt. He can't fight the Hulk with no
Yeah, that's
super
what
soldier serum.
70s were. 70s were like everything was blood trans. That's She-Hulk, right? It's
That's
like,
She-Hulk. Yeah.
whoops. I think Spider-Woman might have been something similar to
Uh,
that. I don't remember what Spider-Woman's power. Well, Spider-Woman
here
was a cartoon. Yeah, they had rights to a cartoon or something or
they got wind of another studio starting work on a Spider-Woman cartoon.
oh.
So they hurry up and pushed it through and got the copyright quicker. So,
Oh
Heroes
man.
Reborn Cap saves Falcon's life by he gives him like he like drinks his blood from his hand.
Oh yeah.
The mistake was they gave Captain America green blood. I don't know if that's a coloring mistake or like it was just stupid.
Oh yeah,
Sorry,
yeah, yeah.
Rob. You know, but yeah, he just like drips his super soldier blood into Falcon's mouth.
Sounds good.
It's
Hinky.
deliciously green. It's ecto cooler blood.
It's what is that what Stan Lee drank when he in the Hulk movie, Incredible Hulk movie where he
Yeah,
gets
yeah.
the
Some of that blood got dripped. See, if Hulk had green blood, you'd be like, all right, that makes sense. Bruce
right,
Banner had green blood, okay, but not Cap.
right.
He's a
That's right.
red-blooded American. By
That's
golly.
right. So did this person Cafu? Why does that sound familiar? Did that person work at DC for a bit, or am I thinking
Is
of
that
another
who drew
person?
Dolly H for Hero? Or is that Kano?
Kano. It's another four-letter non-curse
No,
word
I've heard
artist.
Cafu. I know Cafu from something. I just didn't bother. Reese,
Yeah,
why would I research this?
no.
People come for our opinions,
I
not
did
our
like these
knowledge.
pages. I thought these pages were I mean, it's you're doing like a mosaic strip and everything and all that. I don't know. I don't know, man. I'm just exhausted from this. But then you have him quitting. I'm out.
It's like, dude, I know you just lived the deaths of everyone you loved ever, but it was still fake.
We've done this. I feel like it's still like let it fall. I don't care. That's kind of the way I feel too. It's the way I feel about this book. Because the book. Here's the other thing too. We've talked a lot about like things counting, right? We've listened to these different retailers, and we're hearing that the Wolverine regular series is outselling the Hickman Capullo series, which is late and just not on the calendar at all.
Yeah.
It's okay when it comes out, right? But it doesn't count. It's not selling as much. And this kind of feels like I don't care about this because I'm just thinking about number one coming out, right? I don't care about this storyline. Don't care, you know. Um, like same thing with Zarsky is going to end, right? He's going to end, but all the everything leading up to his end, it's going to just be a spectacular shit show. It's been a shit show. He's got
Here's
three or four more issues before the relaunch, and this is the way I feel here too. I'm like, you're not making me want this.
here's the secret, Mark. Peter Parker doesn't quit. It's not a character.
Oh yeah,
That must be Ben Riley. You know how I know?
because his junk, look at his penis.
He's wearing a blue hoodie.
Oh right, that's right. That's the secret. You got a blue hoodie on, you know.
You're the Scarlet Spider.
Did you ever see that John Campea clip where he was talking about uh was it a poster? There was some type of Spider-Man thing, right? When No Way was it what's the most recent Far From Home, No Way Home, No Way Home,
No Way Home.
No Way Home. So No Way Home when right around the time where it was just rumored to have three or four. I'll see if I could find the clip up. Maybe I could drop the clip in, but it's like John Campea was like, I've never stared harder at Tobey Maguire's penis. And then it just was like a meme for a while because they're like, what? And I knew what they were talking about. They were trying to see if this was photoshopped and it was someone else's head. But if I look at this other thing of Tobey Maguire and the cod piece of the Spider-Man costume, is it new? Is it old? Like I understand what he was talking about. We all like, yeah, okay, okay. But out of context, it's so bizarre.
Funny.
So yeah, I thought that's where you were going with this. I thought it was the, you
No,
know,
no, I wasn't staring at the junk.
but see,
The
you're
the
right.
well
You're
shadowed
right.
junk.
It's more about like, but he did quit in, what is that, 50, issue 50, but it's not a consistent thing,
No,
so
no.
it's kind of a callback. But the 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 thing that we like about Peter Parker is we like him under the rubble of pushing through. That's the biggest.
Right, pushing up the big metal machine that's
Yeah,
above his weight limit.
which apparently is all. The rumor is that was like ridiculously Ditko. Like the plot was saying something else, and it just the pages came in. They're like, we need to put this out. You know what I mean? And they're like, okay, well, I guess we're putting that out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you just had to script it. Like
Then
it's
it,
just,
but then it's such a pivotal, like he
it
can
is, but
overcome
it could be
anything.
like an accident. But I feel like that's like it's kind of like a deadline. Oh, I don't know, we got to get it out. You know what I mean? Like, we got to get it out, so we got to do it. You know?
Kerry Callum, the artist, did a Angel and Robot. He did that
Mm.
Superman Action Comics with Comics comic strip I sent you the other day.
Yeah, I saw that in because I follow him on Instagram, and I saw it in swipe format. You sent me the page because he has it probably on Facebook, the
Okay,
page,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Okay.
and
So
I
you do
saw it
follow
in
him. You are
swipe.
aware of his
Oh
artwork.
yeah, oh yeah.
He's really good at taking two-dimensional images and making kind of GIFs out of them, where they go
Mm.
back and forth, or they like he'll do like a Kirby machine with things spinning, and like he'll have
Yeah,
the
I'd
like
like to
he's
try and figure that out. I know that's an AI thing that is the AI for good. It's an AI for good thing,
well, I
right?
think he's been doing it for like 5, 10 years. So
Oh wow,
he's
okay.
doing it some other way. He's just making a GIF. He's just taking the same image, coloring it differently or something,
Mm.
and then just making them go back and forth. Maybe it stays four and then four the different one. You know what I mean? Like you
Oh,
can
I
just
see.
do it. That's all he's doing. But he did one of that machine and the water splashing down and
Oh wow. Oh
go on
geez.
his I don't know if he still got his blog or not, but you could just get lost on there because he's done so many neat things like that. Or he'll do like, what if Silver Age DC comics? What if Marvel did Silver Age DC covers? And it's like Ghost Rider's like, why am I so fat? Like an old
Oh
Flash
really?
comic
Yeah,
or
I need to
yeah,
go on a little deep dive with his Instagram. Yeah,
yeah,
I've always
he's
liked everything that I see pop up here and there, but yeah, when I saw it last week, I was like, oh man. So
what a genius
that's
idea. And everyone's reposting it. Like every
it's a lot. Yeah,
yeah.
that's good. Good as long as you credit them. I'm surprised. Our boy, take a shot. Surprised James Gunn didn't put it on his Instagram and not credit the artist because he loves doing that. Jerk. Anyway,
Jerk.
here we go. Part
Uncanny
four of
X-Men.
four.
All right. It
4 of 4. Dave Marquez cover again. Here's the thing. Dave Marquez cover. Dave Marquez has done how many issues? So this is 8, right? He's done 3, 4, maybe, or
right.
4.5. So it's a little, and he's relatively
Little
fast. However, we really like this is kind of neat. So this is who is
just
this?
that
Bradshaw, Nick Bradshaw.
Bradshaw.
But when I first saw it, I was like, is that Todd Nauck? So
Yes, I
it's
know.
kind of like so that's
It's
anyway, that's a good one. Um but again, this is the B artist, right? This is the Danny Earls of this book, right? Danny
right.
Earls of Hulk, but the Nick Klein, the B artist here is Javier Garron, who, I go back to, and maybe this is it's just out of habit that he draws a young Cyclops. I don't know why they just have this Cyclops costume. He looks too young. He looks too young in this. I do like
Yeah,
how
in this
squat.
panel he really does.
I love this squat. The
Yeah, the
squat
Squat
Wolverine.
Wolverines, it's great.
That's a perfect Wolverine. Yeah, I mean everyone's doing things. Yeah, uh I want to say Gambit, but what am I thinking of? Grifter. There's
Grifter.
Grifter, right? I know that's not his name, but so yeah, my whole thing. This is part 4 of 4. My whole issue with this is this should have been, if they were doing it, it should have been a 5, because part 1 and 2 of this felt it was the same issue of them getting inside, right?
Yes.
Uh, so this is a conclusion, but I feel like it's not an unearned conclusion. Here's some blur. There we go. I zoom in every week. It's my thing. So here we go. We have a Javier Garron blur. Different than Ray Corona blur, different than Danny Warren Johnson blur, but all kind of the same. All coming from the same influence. Could go back to Bacalo, whoever, whatever his name is.
Pacello.
Baccello, that too. Good use of the fade out here. So great thing there. Nice, even that, yeah, even the nice bordering here. It is, you know,
Good creepy face at the bottom.
yeah. This is a lot of blood, right? So if Rogues does his Rogues slapping Cyclops, that's immediate blood. It's immediate. Well, I guess he's getting a little bit. He's already
Yeah,
beat
maybe
up here.
he's already
Yeah, there we
bleeding.
go. See, I like that costume though. So that's a Marquez. No, that's a Stegman costume. Yeah,
I think so.
so
Yes.
that's
Yeah,
Stegman
Stegman.
costume. But I think, yeah. So I don't know. I don't know. Right. So Garon is Marquez's alternate.
Yes.
Okay. And then, but Stegman's alternate is some other guy. I forget his name, but he's really good too. So at least their B artists are really, really good. Look at that slap back there.
Yeah, I know. That's
That's
a
a
slap,
fade
dude.
out slap. That's pretty good. So I don't know. Overall, I mean, I do think what I do think this entire four issues did is literally have the two ideologies.
Yes.
I think they did, I think that's the point because I even think that next issue is going to be. I think that both of them have like an epilogue issue. So if they ever trade this, it's probably going to be 6 issues in a trade, and that's cool. That's fine. Because they have to trade it together, I suppose.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I guess it makes sense because it's like each book gets a trade, and then you get a trade of it together. And then I guess,
it's gonna be hell. It's
yeah,
gonna be it's gonna be hell. Throw it in an
yeah,
omnibus.
that's right. Yeah, maybe.
Get that slap.
Here's what Marvel does, dude. When
Woo!
it comes to a nice hardcover collection, say it's collecting 12 issues, it'll be like six of X-Men and this, and then it'll be six of Uncanny X-Men and this. They're going to double dip.
Mm. Hmm. Maybe that's why they gotta do a maybe they gotta do a skull cap, man. I don't know.
There is some pages he looks really
It's just
young.
too young. It almost looks like what was that new X-Men when they did new X-Men? It was the Bendis. What was the Bendis? All new X-Men?
Yeah, I
when
feel
when
like
it
all new
was,
X-Men, but
but
it was
that was like the 60s, you
right
know.
brought to our time.
Interesting story. I have fond memories of that, but I can't really
No, it's good.
recall
No, there's some good stuff in there.
some of the
There's some good.
storylines of that.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you the storylines. I just recall an overall pleasant feeling of the book.
Yeah, I love this page. This page is really good. Like, see, that's what I mean is like you get to have this like a assemble moment here, and then so who is this?
X-Men assemble.
I guess I don't. I'm sorry. I hate the. I'm just gonna break down now. I hate the Psylocke concept, right? Because this is who is that then? Who is that again?
That's
That's not Betsy
that's not
Braddock.
Betsy Braddock. It's Quan something or other.
So it's literally just about it's just like, come on, man. We don't need two Psylocks.
Well, they serve two purposes, kind of.
Yeah.
No, you know what it is? It's like they made the mistake of returning Betsy Braddock, and now she's Captain Britain, which is fine. But then they're like, oh yeah, but people still love the '90s. Let's bring back Psylocke too. And
Right.
she's the ninja, but somehow she has psionic powers too. I thought she was like just a ninja before.
Nah,
Maybe
she's got the
it's
science.
remnants. No, you gotta have. No, you're right. She's got to have the powers, but Betsy Braddock has it too.
Yeah,
You know what?
it's too confusing. And then they just have the purple kind of costumes on both, and it's just a little fuzzy. I do like, and I know in the news this week we
Here's how you
looked
tell them
at.
apart, Mark. One is Asian, and one is
Uh,
British.
I'm British.
I'm British.
Um, yeah, but they don't really heavy it out. They've always done the rogue voice heavy, right? They don't really heavy British Betsy Braddock like they should. They really should.
No.
I do love the Cyclops. Look at that. In the news this week, we talked about the Cyclops action figures coming out, which is the Simonson design with skull cap, and has
Yes.
this really good. I wonder how much that is. I think it's 20 or $30, but maybe if that goes on, I don't know. I really like the blast that they have. It's probably 4 or 5 inches, and then they have this like pattern. I'll put it in here. They have a pattern of this like thing that I've just not have not seen in art. So whoever created it, Hasbro or Marvel Legends, great job. Um, yeah. So this just kind of ends. I guess I must be an asking Siri at the bottom of something there. I was asking
So
Siri.
we still don't know who Inmate X is.
No, and they didn't get the mansion back. They gotta go.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, what are we doing? I thought they were just like, oh, we're gonna take it back over, and then they don't. But yeah, I want to see. I feel like next issue is going to be a classic X-Men. We'll allow, but again, same thing. We're doing the right rhythm, 767. But then you're going to have next issue. We're fine with having a rest issue. What's a couple go? What was the Richard
Yeah,
Bennett one?
because this
Wasn't
one
there a
this one
Richard
was
Bennett like rest issue with
he
Jubilee?
inked Well, there's the rest issue that was Brandon Peterson, right, where Professor X is still has some of his powers to walk, and he's like about to lose his ability to walk, and he goes
Yeah.
rollerblading with Jubilee.
Yeah.
Um,
That's
Richard
what I'm thinking of.
Richard Bennett inked Capullo, I think, on X Force 24. That's his like
Hmm.
main claim to fame with X books, I think. Before like
Introducing Richard Bennett, I think they say that
yeah,
issue.
and made
Yeah, I feel
X.
like there was
I don't know who that could
a
be.
whitish cover. I thought it was maybe I think I'm confusing the Jubilee issue. I think you're right. I think it was a Jubilee issue, which was a nice, but it was like there's that's kind of a Claremont classic thing. He can get away with it because again, he would have so much
Well,
work.
no, an epilogue issue works right now because we just had like 2.5 action issues.
Yeah,
We've had nothing but 777, like just pure. We had 21 action. So
yeah.
an epilogue issue can work only in that.
Here we go. Doing it again. What if Galactus transformed Gambit? So what have we've had so far? We've had
Just Hulk.
Just Hulk, and Hulk we were meh on because the Hulk design wasn't, you
You
know.
know, you know what storyline did this better? Uh, Jay Farber did a Captain Universe miniseries where like Hulk got the Captain Universe powers,
Oh,
X-23
right,
got the, and I feel
right.
like that did it better than like what this is doing.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't mind. It's funny. I got to get a different screenshot of that and plop that in because I saved the design. So I guess they're getting just Ron Lim. Now this artist I liked quite a lot more. I'll have it,
Yeah, it's got a
dropped
Carrie
in.
Nord feel to it that I kind of like.
Yeah, you're right. So yeah, I do see some Carrie Nord stuff. Like it's not like completely done, but I think that having a lot of Finch lines here in the face
Mhm.
and yeah, just the scale of it. I've never seen. It's a really good scale, similar to like Claudio Castellini and Chris
Ooh,
Wilson's
yeah,
favorite Silver Surfer one shot, Dangerous Artifacts. We talked about that
that's a great
on a
one shot.
weekly basis. I want to say Chris Wilson talked about that book. That's a book they should definitely gallery edition, or there should be a Claudio Castellini like hardcover. You can put Wolverine the End in there. He did one issue of Spider-Man with Morbius. Not a whole lot. I mean, you
Right.
can't do the DC
He did
Marvel stuff,
he did
but
half a DC Marvel. He
yeah.
did a Superman book with Wolfman.
Yeah, they did put a hardcover out for that, Man and
Okay.
Superman.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you can see, and he has a lot of his layouts are in that. So you can buy
And
a
he
hardcover for that. That was like $15.
and he did some work for CrossGen too. That was really beautiful.
CrossGen Chronicles 2-3.
Yeah.
The first one was a Perez. I have those. Yeah, so
Really good. That's a really good press too.
I have a Claudio Castellini section. I think I have. I don't
I
need the Marvel DC stuff because that stuff was just kind of like fine. It
Yeah.
wasn't
No, no.
incredible stuff. So
No, but as a fan of real art, and he's got two posters, one of the X-Men and one of the Marvel Universe.
Marvel Universe one is always very expensive. It's
Yeah,
something I would like to grab. It's always a
I used
hundred
I used
bucks.
to have it, and
Nah,
I sold it for $100.
yeah, there you go. You know,
I sold so many posters for the poster collection I had. I had an original art poster collection, meaning like posters of like my favorite artists where that art wasn't available in a book. But once
mm,
I would get it in a book, I would sell the poster. You know,
mm.
so that was Claudio Castellini did two of them, and they're both fantastic. The Perez
Yeah,
Avengers print, the Perez Young Extreme Universe print. I had a bunch of stuff that like the McFarlane Hulk poster, McFarlane Spider Man poster.
I still think that they need to plop in.
Plop.
They got, they got to put something in. Like I know they map out the Epic collections pretty well, and they're filling in some of the Silver Surfer stuff. They're a good amount. They're good a ways through uh the Ron Lim run, but I feel like they did put one of the Buscema, and I think there was a Bill Reinhold graphic novel that's kind of plopped in. It's kind of that's
Okay.
the right word,
Yeah.
but where
It's the
there's
best word. Plopped is a word we should
zero
always be using on the show.
plop.
We
Yeah,
didn't
that
bring
is
that
a
up.
comic book. That's a
It's a
comic. You
great
would love
comic
it.
book.
You would love that.
It's
You
a
have that.
cross between I don't know how much of it you read. Serge Aragonés had a lot to do with it. It's
I only
DC
ever read
kind
the
of
first
doing.
one. Yeah.
Oh man! First off, they had incredible Basil Wolverton covers,
Yep.
but like it was a combination of like humor and horror together, and it just works so good. Is there an archive edition to that? Is that on a
Uh,
DC app?
there might be. No, I
I
don't think
own
so.
I own them because that's where I started my collection, doing parody stuff and horror stuff.
Right.
More, but like, yeah, that's a great book. DC should be on that. They should be a hardcover of that. We'll do it. We'll make an Awestruck edition of Plop. Nobody else is.
No, no plot. Zero plot. Although, go to your DC app, and they're not putting them in order. I'm not loving this, but so in the DC app they have something called DC Go, which is basically trying to do their own webtoon thing. Yeah, they have a Nightwing book. It's all about his butt. It's literally called Nothing But Nightwing with BUTT. But
Ah, I get it.
but but
You
they
can't stop.
they have um they have a Spy versus Spy scroll that works well with that, by the way, of course, because it's a reveal, it's a gag, it's all that stuff, but they're not in order. Like, I would love if they did in order. So they have some and they've had good people, because you have Peter Cooper doing it. I don't remember the guy who created Spy versus Spy, but first couple are early Spy
Antonio
versus
Prohius,
Spy. There you go.
A Cuban refugee.
Cuban Pete. Oh, really? So
Yeah.
but I loved Spy versus Spy, and I think I have a couple of the books, like, individual, that got the Berlin Mart for probably 35
Yeah.
cents.
Dude,
Um, Spy versus
this
Spy is pretty
the Mad
wonderful.
magazine that came out this week was probably like 25% original, which is
Oh, okay.
more original than they've been in a long time.
I was always confused when they announced it, and it was kind of a big deal at the time. A lot of people were on talk shows like, "I'm so sad, Mad's canceled," and
It
it never
was.
got. But what's canceled? They didn't cancel it
No, it did.
necessarily.
It did kind of. They were, well, trying to remember. I think they were going to cancel it, and then it got a reprieve, and then it slowly they started to take away all the original work inside of it, and it just
Yeah,
became a reprint book with a new cover. But then they started to put a couple new things in it every now and then, and like the past two issues have had more original material than lately.
right,
Um,
right.
so it's better than nothing. But
Yeah,
like, I would rather see Mad filled with new people, old people, like whoever has like an idea that like they just have laying around, like, hey, Bill Ray, do you got anything you've done funny
Mhm.
that's just sitting there that you can't utilize in something else? Or like Amanda Conner, you got a weird comic strip you and Jimmy came up with that like you can't use
Oh, yeah,
in whatever. Reach out to these people. Hey, say, listen, we can't pay you that much, but your stuff will see print, and
right.
we'll send you, 20 copies of the magazine.
Yeah, I wonder if they should move it to quarterly or something, and do quarterly, then try to put together, because it's monthly now. Does that sound right, or
I feel like it's bi-monthly.
is it bi-monthly? Okay. All right, so maybe they are almost
They
doing it.
they did take it to quarterly at one point. They've tried a bunch of different things to make that magazine work, and it just doesn't. It's a pop culture magazine. Like, you could easily turn it into like an art. Like I think I talked to you. I wanted to do a cracked magazine, like annual cracked. Try to get any old people, get new people, put something out, but it'd be more like an art book. It'd be like a $10, $15 magazine book.
Hmm.
Mad, they still want to keep that coming out because it does touch, like, the newest issue has a lot of AI. So it's old robot stuff, new robot stuff.
Oh, I see. Okay.
My favorite page in the book, and remind me to send this to you so you can put it up now. Back in the 70s, Mad Magazine had an infamous issue where it's like, Mad Magazine, we're number one. And it's just a big hand giving the finger. And all of the newsstands like sent it back. Like, we can't put this up. That's obscene. So the book was
Hmm.
actually worth money for a while. And then Mad Magazine, actually, they found cases of them in a warehouse. So they were given, when you subscribed to Mad for like a year, they would send you that magazine free,
Oh,
which
wow.
was
Okay.
once because they just found them all in great condition. So
Wow.
anyway, they're doing an AI thing with Mad. And of course, it's like a hand giving the finger, but it's like six fingers and two fingers sticking up, because AI does that weird thing with extra
Oh,
fingers,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it's a good joke. It's very
that's
visual, good
fine.
joke.
I saw there was an AI Miss Universe. It was Miss Marvel Universe.
Yeah,
You should watch that. It's pretty good. It's like 6 minutes long. All of the it's it's She-Hulk, but the faces aren't too weird on Uncanny Valley. Like the She-Hulk model, whatever they did, the Sue Storms, they're all it's literally like a Miss Universe pageant, but it's Miss Marvel Universe, and all the judges are, it's Deadpool, Wolverine, Cap. It's kind of good. It was, again, I watched some of those trailers because the trailers are so ridiculous. Like, all the Star Wars trailers just have like bombshell, Leia, right? It's the
Right.
clickbait, and I'm like, I'm watching it, but then I watch like six of them, and I'm like, oh. But I always like the voiceover. It's always really fun. Anyway, so I went back to what if what if I liked this book? I don't know. This one actually was better than last week's. I
I do think it was better.
yeah. I think the costume's kind of neat. I I think it lends itself because he is power, like he does have with the cards, or he can channel the psionic energy. So like it makes sense. But I think art wise, it's just like, and again, man, that scale is really good, you know. Oh, look at
Yeah.
that. See,
Blue
look how
Diamond.
much fun. Look at how much fun. I love these. I guess you would say the majority of these are what? The majority of these designs
Cockrum.
are Cockrum,
Oh,
right? Basically.
a good amount.
But that's a different Quasar. Odd. That's the Giffen Drax, right? Who's this?
Yes.
I
It's
don't know
like
who that is.
Blue Diamond. I think he's like a. I feel like
Oh,
he's
I see.
a
And
Golden
then
Age character.
Pip the Troll, and then that was one of the Hickman characters, right? You
Yeah,
know,
that's it's Smasher, but the female version of it.
right, right, right.
She's like no, she's a Cockrum original Imperial Guard character. Just it was a dude before.
Yeah, he sets him free at the end. So, all right. Again, I'm curious. This week's Nightwing, or not Nightwing. This week's Moon Knight. So, Night, Moon, Night, Wing.
Right.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So we'll see. But I feel like I'm less familiar with Moon Knight of late. So I don't know. I'm not too sure if I'll care about that. But this I liked a lot more. This the only reason I thought we were going to read this series is because I wanted to read this issue because I'm very pro
Yeah, you were
Gambit
excited about
uh
from Deadpool Wolverine.
yeah, but it was fine. It was fine. But I don't know who this is, so I would think that, he gets placed around. I think, the depth and scale is a little bit Stuart Immonen, there's a little bit, good Igor Cordy. I know he is a much maligned Igor Cordy, but I see it. Jack of Hearts, love it. So, Cruel Kingdom, I'm just struggling with these anthology books, and I told you about this, and it's more so I just from the stakes of it. But the first story I liked quite a bit, maybe just because it's like a barbarian type story, but it's
Yes.
science
Yeah,
fiction
that makes sense.
barbarians. I
I
can do
liked
it.
it.
I can do it. Yeah, this art was great. This was really, really good. I thought this was excellent. Like the Shrek. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's it's a cool series, and that's the fear of AI. Like the idea is like the robots take over.
Yeah, so I mean, and we don't know exactly why they're not called like, Tales from the Crypt and all that stuff, right? We imagine that the copyright EC Comics
Yeah,
is technically the line and brand. They have the rights to that, but they don't have the rights to, as
the
far as I
original
know, reprint
titles.
anything because Fantagraphics does the reprints on all the Tales from the Crypt and all that stuff. So I don't know, but I feel like it's kind of like almost not an anthology because I feel like it's the same people working on it. I feel like it's Leo Max and Al Ewing and
Well,
Kano.
it's still
Second appearance Kano. Sweet.
Kano, Kano, Liu Kang.
Yeah, I only put the it's so funny. I only put the pictures of the main story that I like because the others are the ones I just kind of skimmed it.
Yeah, I've been on an anthology rush lately. Just I've been reading like all these books and the creep shows and stuff, and so yeah, I enjoy them. I know Walt's picking them all up.
Oh, that's what he's getting. That's
Yeah,
funny. That's good. Hey man, listen. I want him to read stuff. It's funny every time we see Walty like apologizes to
yeah,
us,
yeah,
and it's like, dude, I'm not like the police of comic books. You know what I mean? Like it's like,
yeah.
but I can't talk to you about it. I'm like, you can talk about other stuff. Like
He
it's
he owns every issue of Invincible. And this week he's like, hey, I just checked on Global, that website, and they've got I think the first Invincible compendium up. I'm like, awesome, dig in, dude. And I'm like, I'd rather you read the
so
comics because they all have
right.
backups and pinups and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
But
hey, whatever. You read it, you read it.
yeah, I think the compendiums are nice to to kind of blow through. I think I would want to get. again, I really like them. Kind of going through John Carter now, and I like the Marvel Omnibus of that. It's not too ridiculously big. I really want to get the Micronauts because again, they're not too ridiculously big. They're like 726 pages. I wonder what when I see now the compendiums are the right weight. I have the Starman Compendium Volume One. I didn't get Volume Two yet, but like I have the archive, like I have the whatever omnibuses of that, but I'm like I need to get that anyway, just because I think it's fun to just have that in the big bulk. I'm a big fan of having multiple copies of things. That's my jam. It's my jam.
Yeah, not me. I'm like,
Um,
give me. I just want to keep the best possible version,
yeah,
unless
all
it's
right.
really different. Like the like the Last Blood has the regular edition, the manga edition.
And the splatter, the splatter editions, the Liefeld splatter editions with the extra shiny stuff on it. So we'll see. I would think I don't know. You're saying I should wait, not buy that last blood stuff, but I kind of want. I'll see. I'll see.
No, it's neat. No, it's neat because you're buying a book that there's less than 1,000 of, and that particular cover there's only like 80 of. So there's only
Right.
eight of that book in
Right.
existence. And you're talking about a guy who's got like hundreds of thousands of followers on like
Yeah.
X or Twitter. You know what I mean? You're talking about a
Yeah.
guy who's making movies. So that book's super rare. That's why it's like 25 bucks, you know.
Right. Right. We're talking about Rob Liefeld's Whatnot, which he does on Friday, Saturday nights, Friday nights,
He does Wednesdays and Saturdays. There's probably one going on,
Wednesdays, Saturdays.
you know.
Oh my
Well,
God.
we're recording this a little late, you know.
Oh man.
Um, but anyway, but he is going to collect. He's got two issues out so far. He's
Mhm.
got one in color and one in black and white. But it's like upped. It's like it's manga. It's got extra lines, blood. It's really really cool look. It's not just a black and
Yeah.
white comic. It's shaded. You know, it's really neat. So he's working on the third issue now, and then he's going to probably collect the first three issues depending on where the story ends.
Mm.
So, but he's going to do two collections: the manga edition and the color edition. So I'm saying if you want to own a nice hardcover with probably extra pages and maybe some of the covers or all the
Yeah.
covers,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's a nice addition to have. If you want to have individual comics, it's going to be more expensive, but they're rare, you
Yeah.
know.
Or
So it's
maybe
kind
I'll
of
resell them.
you could, you absolutely could. Like I said, he's not making more of them. He's not going back to press. If he goes back to press, it's a new cover, you know.
Yeah,
So
that's what I think I'm attracted to is the covers. All the covers have looked really good, and then the shiny blood splatter thing is kind of that's pretty attractive.
he's done some neat it feels like blood on the book, you know, like the old rub the
Rub the
blood,
blood, baby.
you
Yep,
know,
the best, the best gimmick of all time. Rub the blood.
rub the blood.
Um, so I'm struggling with this book a little bit. This issue is a lot better. So this is The Serpent in the Garden from the
Hmm.
world of Hellboy, which also has that new, like, I guess, line, The Curious Objects, which this week has a new, like, BPRD book coming out, but it's not called BPRD. Hellboy is in it. He's right on the cover. It's not called Hellboy either. I don't even remember what that's called, but I feel like they're branching out a little bit. I mean, they had a Panya mini series, which is a character from Hellboy that makes
Yeah, no,
sense. So
I've
they've
read
had
everything.
some yeah, they've had some things. They had Lady. I'm trying to think of that one character's name was Lady something. Um, so I feel I've read everything. I feel like this book, the first issue I felt was a little too reference heavy. It did a little bit in this. I feel like this would be 5 issues, man. I don't know. I feel like everyone's issues they're all wrong. They're all wrong because I know that Mignola is not going to do a double size, right? I know it's going to be exactly 21 pages, 22 pages.
Right.
Um, I don't exactly know how they're going to wrap this up. This is the best Ben Stenbeck ever,
It's
you
really
know.
good looking. This is really good looking.
Um, this is the closest to, I feel like when he first started Baltimore, that was the first time it was just like, this guy's knocking my socks off. Like, but here he's just doing certain non sequitur things that are, I don't know if Mignola's given him layouts, but like this, having this negative black hat, this here, this is very Mignola. That's very
Oh yeah,
Mignola.
yeah. The fish, the bird.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's ridiculous. Like, again, I don't know. I don't think so because I feel like he trusts his artist so much. I feel like who he has been using recently, Christopher Mitten, Ben Stenbeck, Peter, I don't know how to say his name,
Yeah, right,
Vertig,
right, right.
Jig, right? He trusts his artist implicitly on this, but just the depth and the monster work here, that feels like this here, the cat. I'm surprised I didn't do a zoom in on that, but this just looks ridiculous.
Right.
But this again, this is two different stories, that they're referencing. So I feel like we're doing a little bit too much. I don't think it's needed. I think we know who this guy is. I think we understand who Grunklock is.
Yeah,
So
if you're reading this book, you've read the other Hellboy story, and this book is probably selling a tenth of what that other Hellboy story. Like if you're reading this, you're in it for the long haul.
right.
You know, Constructor Con long haul, who was on Transformers this week.
Look at the economy of line on these here. First off, I just thought this like blood was ridiculous. But just let me go back to this page. Just every panel is like ridiculous. Every panel's and even just the movement on the panels back and forth. I don't know. This is just I love it. I wish it was 5 issues. I understand, and Mignola talked in an interview how much fun he's having, like with this kind of playing with these different timelines and what he's doing, and then wrapping in, again, wrapping in, Morgan Le Fay, promoting him into this kind of like orc. Who was that big orc?
Yeah,
And
right.
it's
The Orc guy,
kind of looks like, uh,
uh,
the
the one from the Hobbit movie,
yeah,
the one who played by he played Crixus on Spartacus. He's like a not Hawaiian, something like that. But he
like a
played,
Samoan guy or something. Yeah.
yeah. He played Deathstroke
That was
on Arrow.
Manu something. His first name is
Yes.
Manu, M-A-N
Yeah, that's what it
M-A-N-U.
is. He was a really good Deathstroke, dude.
Yeah.
Like
That
really good.
Deathstroke costume was better than the eventual Joe Manganiello costume.
Right.
I like that Deathstroke costume. I like the CW Deathstroke costume more. And I also thought the Wild Dog costume was freaking great too. The
It
CW Wild Dog
was.
costume was great.
Dude, CW did try to do things right. Arrow's costume will always look good, you know?
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All this is, I'm having a really fun time, and they're just kind of setting up, they're just like totally setting up like God, this reminds me of something too. Crap. That looks so much like something else. I don't know. I wonder if that's homaging like almost like a Fafhrd and Gray Mouse or something. Like that's in my brain from somewhere. I don't know. I don't know
Hmm.
if I can place it before I post this.
That would be a funny thing to reference. It does look like something, but I
I
don't
can't
recognize it.
tell. Yeah, but yeah, I can see. I know it's something. I'll think about it. Uh, I don't know. The problem is that like there's again, like you said, it's so small. I want to as a multiversity, there is a one um there's one website. It's like a news site, but they love Mignola, and they would sometimes they'll do like a week of Mignola articles or something. And they did like Mignola art or fan art for a bit. I don't know. I got to see if I can find that website. I don't really go to it that often because they didn't really have regular news. But I love this design of, you know, I totally love this design of Ed Gray, and then he gives them the sword, or maybe, and names the sword Witchfinder, which is very fitting because he was
Yes.
the Witchfinder. So Grunglock of Loughlane. I thought that looked when I first looked at that at first, I thought that was my name. That
I
was my
know.
last
I know.
name.
I figured you did.
I did it. I
As soon
zoomed
as you
in on
just
it.
said it, I'm like, he probably thought the same
There it
thing.
is. That's my name, Leone, but it's A. Uh, yeah, just again, I love it. I love it. And then, why not
Yep. Why
come
not?
back? To be concluded. Come on, man. Come on.
Give me more. Give me $5 and give me some more.
I it's listen.
Dabba dabba dee dog. Give me some more. Dabba dabba dee. Dabba dabba do. Dabba dabba dee dabba. Give me some
Oh,
more.
you know what? I guess I went back to this. Yeah, I took picture or went back to that, but I'll just kind of fast forward. I guess
It's
the only
funny.
thing I
Little
guess
little
to go
details.
back
Little.
to,
Hey,
yeah,
go
this is
back. Go
what
back. Go back.
yeah, this is what I want to talk
No,
about.
go
Yeah,
back.
these are the details. So kind
Okay.
of going back to Lucky Devils,
I blow.
I went back
Hilarious.
to yeah, so Ryan, this is all the Ryan Brown in jokes. I did that, or his flourish, or his sound effects that are something
You see
instead of
this right here? Battle
bully.
Beast. Ryan Brown is a huge Battle Beast collector. Remember we talked about
Oh,
Battle Beast from Transformers?
oh
But
yeah, yeah,
Transformers
yeah.
in Japan, they're a separate Hasbro toy line here in America. There was a curse words thing too I saw in this issue somewhere.
Yeah, I forget where
I think it
that
was
was.
maybe somebody had like a costume. You know, it was like the dude with the beard, the wizard with the beard's face or
Yeah,
something.
I literally just took pictures of the all of the sound effects and stuff, and then this was like kind of the finale
Yeah.
of it. But yeah, I knew something. I knew that I guess they're doing that. So okay, this is my sleeper book of the week. I told you specifically to read this.
Yes.
I don't love I love the alternate cover. I like this cover more because this is the artist that I like, which looks it's funny. This looks like a I mean again, Kyle Starks is the writer, but this looks like a Kyle Starks drawing who did Sex Castle and a few other books. But he did the Peacemaker book. You like that, right? Peacemaker
Yeah.
tries hard.
Yeah. Yeah. That was good.
I didn't finish that. I read like the first issue. It was on the DC app.
This looks
Um,
very 90s Vertigo, like
yeah, I mean you got Glenn
trying
Fabry
to
on the
be
cover, so
yeah.
hey, look,
I
Vertigo
mean,
ain't doing Vertigo.
I know. You know, it's funny, Mark. I didn't realize it was Glenn Fabry. I was about to say it looks like a Glenn Fabry ripoff, and then I looked down.
He's doing such a good job. It's
He's
actually him. He's ripping himself off, and why not?
oh my goodness. I can't
So
believe I just did that, dude.
this book was very, very uncomfortable. First off, I was kind of scary.
Skulls.
Where am I going? Am I stuck on this? Oh wait,
Real monster is us.
my cat just stepped on it, so I think I ruined it. I think I'm stuck. Hang on. Woo.
Stupid cats always messing with shit.
I know. Was that my last issue? That might be my last. I think that's it. Hold
Was that
on.
your last picture?
Yeah, maybe. I thought I did more than that. That's confusing.
So the
Hold on.
point is, this is a good book. It's torn right out of the TV screen of wives' favorite murder mysteries, you know, true crimes, and it's a smart move. It combines elements. Um, I enjoyed it. It's this could easily be a movie, TV series, whatever it is. I don't think he wrote it for that reason, but way too easy to turn this into a to anything, you know?
Yeah, I just it was so the
I'm,
biggest the main plot essentially
I wasn't sure how
is
far you were getting into the plot, but go on.
yeah, I mean the main plot is basically that, you know, and it is almost very cliche from the jump where you have this woman literally recording a podcast, a murder podcast. We're like, okay, this is a trope. There's literally a television show about this. There's tons of podcasts, tons of true crime podcasts. I'm kind of like, all right, I guess we're doing this. You know, I'm
Yeah,
actually hesitant to watch that. There's a show on Netflix that has what Kristen Bell and what's his name, Adam Brody on. It's supposed to be pretty good. And of these like divorced people dating, right? So kind of, you know, in the is in my wheelhouse. You know what I mean? Target
yeah.
audience. But she's like a podcaster, and I'm like, oh, come on. But I'm like, well, her actual husband, Dax Shepard's like a ridiculously
But
successful podcaster, so it's not exactly out of
yeah,
bounds.
she
But she doesn't
knows.
know what that world is. Of course, she'd know what
Right,
that
right.
world is, and I think it's a relationship podcast. So it's kind of like okay, but I was hesitant to do that. But the first couple pages is literally um, a podcaster talking about these murders, and there's going to be uh, they're going to hit records. There's
Well,
two
yeah,
different serial
yeah.
killers.
It starts off. She's doing a historical podcast. Well, she's talking about someone who was a serial killer in the past, and he had a high death number. And then she talks about two newer guys whose death numbers are slowly approaching this guy's record. You know,
Mhm.
and the two very different serial killers. And then I don't know. We giving away the story?
Yeah, I would do it. Let's do it.
Okay. Well, then happenstance, the two serial killers meet each other. And it's like, you know, let's help each other out, or let's try to beat this number. You know, it's fun in a way, but also it's dark and it's gross and it's sick.
I think I fixed it. Okay, there we go. So
Oh, good
yeah, like
job.
even from the jump, so we have the cover that I couldn't get, that I got stuck on and just got, I couldn't get for whatever reason. I saved some giant cover and I couldn't get out of it. So Patrick Piazzalunga. Okay,
Piazzalunga.
Piazzalunga, no problem. So yeah, so you have a quote from the front end. So like, I mean,
Mark,
it's pretty much from the
he sounds like
start.
he's from your tribe, your Italian tribe.
That's correct. It could be from Calabria, so it's very possible. Um, that sounds right. But yeah, so this is just gross from the start, right? So you have a Night Stalker quote, right? And then you literally have like that's just having this Stark image like this of just like blah, you
Stark.
know, Stark, Tony Stark. You have
No,
some great. So here, I
Kyle
mean,
Stark.
I thought of a couple different, I've thought like a little bit like Mark Hempel. I thought of who did Old Guard, Leandro Romero,
Yeah, Fernandez.
Fernandez, one
Right.
of the something or
Something.
others. But yeah, and of course like the sick tick person, the will DR Deathra. I never know how to say it. Whoever's drawing something's killing the children. So very similar to that. I love the negative space here. Again, this is Vertigo, not Vertigo, right? It's Vertigo
Yeah.
basically. Um, but just creepy. So this is just literally uh I think that was like the podcast, but then yeah, so this serial killer goes home, goes in his dark room, does some, I
Yeah.
imagine,
His wife
masturbating.
is upstairs and like he's got a dark room in his house.
The
Like it's
yeah,
true. Like my wife rarely ever came to my comic room, but she did come to my comic room back in the day, back when I had a huge
right.
basement full.
Right. And your
When
long
my,
boxes were full of body parts of
yeah,
of women, of your ex-girlfriends. It's weird.
yes.
Happens.
A trophy of each. That's why I had so many long boxes.
God, it looks like Kelly Jones a little bit. And it looks like Eduardo Rizzo. There's just a lot of stuff going on. So essentially what happens is basically their one serial killer finishes something and then sees the other serial killer and then thinks he's not doing it right. So like literally tries to coach him in this moment. Now, one again is masked, one is not masked, clearly.
Mhm.
Um, so what ends up happening, kind of the crux at the end, essentially, the podcaster's having lunch with a coworker. And the coworker husband is one of the serial killers.
Right.
And then the end, spoilers, is the waiter is the other serial killer, but he knows that that is the serial killer because that the other one, the blonde haired
Yes.
guy, is unmasked. So that's a great cliffhanger, wonderful, and
Yeah.
just the whole book's it's creeping me out. I got goosebumps now. Just a creepy book. I can't wait till. I don't, it sounds weird. I can't wait till it's over, but because I feel like it would be a good, like full read. But very effective, very effective
See, this is the
in
type
the
of book
issues. There's Kyle
I
Starks
could
right there.
prob Kyle Starks. This is the type of book that as a trade, I could give to my daughters. They could read a good horror book. My one daughter, Callie,
Mm.
especially, enjoys horror. So this is something I could probably give them.
Yeah, I tried to grab if you go this is Kyle Starks' website. It's got a lot of really fun
That's funny.
things.
Look at this
I've
absolute
read I
Batman.
never read this. I think the second Where Monsters Lie is happening right now.
Yeah, I'm actually reading that.
Okay, you're reading the was it Cul-de-sac, Where Monsters
Yeah,
Lie
yeah,
Cul-de-sac?
yeah.
Peacemaker, like we said, I guess he wrote this, which I forget who drew this. Iguara might have drawn that. So that's kind of fun. That's all like the super pets basically, and I guess that's Craven right there. I read Kill Them All. I remember reading that. That was actually really fun. You like all of the Minor Threats. I've only ever read the
Yeah.
Minor Threats original, which is the Patton Oswalt George Blum book, which is very good.
Yes.
Um, and I guess
It's a good world they're building. This was a good series too. The shit eater, the barfly.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I have to me like there it's fun. It's kind of
Come on,
fun that
Ryan
Dark
Brownie, dude.
Horse oh, there you go, Brian Brownie. So it's kind of
He
fun.
drew the whole series, by the way.
Oh, that. Oh,
Yeah,
okay, that makes
that's a
sense.
mini series. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that kind of falls right in his line of gross things to draw. So that's
Yes.
fun. So that's fun. I don't remember. I guess I just again I didn't really like the Brave and the Bold series, but if he did a Wild Dog, we just talked about Wild Dog. So if he did a Wild Dog story inside of that, maybe I need to look that up. This is really fun. I don't know. Did you ever read this? This is kind of a
No.
it's like a romp. It's Skybound too. It's interesting. I didn't realize that. But this is Erica Henderson after she left Marvel, who basically didn't create Squirrel Girl, but like kind of made Squirrel Girl famous.
Yeah, made her popular again.
But the main, I think it's this guy, the guy right here. Yeah, he gets all the assassins, and it's almost like a battle royale type of thing. But that character's name is Fuck Tarkington, so I
Oh,
just
that's
always
funny.
thought his name's Fuck. So they just that's a fun book though, and this is interesting. Yeah, I would be curious to. There seems to be a lot of stuff in there. 125 pages for $5. So I think I'm gonna invest in that. Give Kyle Stark some $5. 130, 25 pages. That's
Yeah,
pretty good.
that's great. Get it.
Yeah, he had a good site. He had a good website. So, oh yeah, so we got to do the Mark Millar,
Mark Miller.
Mark Miller roundup. Um,
All right. So this is the end of Nemesis Rogues Gallery miniseries. This is not the Nemesis that he created with Steve McNiven. It's a reboot, but it's a reboot that fits better into his overall Miller World universe. I still like to see him use that other Nemesis somehow,
mhm.
but
Right,
this is a dark issue. Like a lot of this issue takes place on like an Epstein Island type of situation,
right, right.
which is just like disgusting. Like it's just, but it's been a really good book. It's been a fun book. This artist is neat. He's like dirty.
Yeah, it almost looks like a McNiven a little bit. I hate this cover because Rebar's on it. I hate Rebar.
You did, I know.
Ugh.
I'm gonna make a new Dark Horse character called Rebarb Wire.
No, no, thank you. No, thank you. So is this literally like, oh God, yeah, this is
Yes,
very violent. This is really gross. I think I took pictures of basically like the grossest pages,
yeah.
basically.
Well,
So
that's what makes this book great. He's just a son of a bitch Batman, you know,
yeah. So
and
they're
it works.
literally on. What does he do? Does he kill everyone there, like on the island, or and then goes back, or what's?
Basically, he blackmails them, then kills them. Kind of, you know. It's all
Because
part
this
of the
is
overarching story.
because this is a bad Batman-ish, right? Is he like the
Yeah, it's kind of
Joker?
a bad Batman. Yeah,
Yeah,
people are like, oh, he's Batman Joker. No, he's not anything like Joker. He's a bad Batman.
right.
Um,
And I guess this is the end. It's not really spoiling anything
yeah,
because
he's
I'm not really
doing
following
another
everything.
mini. I think he's doing one more miniseries. Currently
Yeah.
planning one more miniseries. So it's a trilogy of a Nemesis series. The first miniseries of the reboot led directly into Big Game. Like he's the main villain for Big Game, and this is the book where he's like recouping from the ending of Big Game,
Okay, so this is coming out. This is spiraling out. This
spiraling
is
out of
this
Big
is
Game. Yeah.
spinning out of and big game.
Yes. Yeah. So Mark Miller, typically characters you love die, characters you hate die, but it's typically always kind of like a happy-ish ending. It's like American Horror Story. I don't know how many seasons of that you ever watched, if any. But even though people die and people you love die, you still kind of get a happy ending at the end. So
It sounds bleak.
it is bleak.
Um,
This similar, you know, this is a
I hate this.
Prodigy.
I hate this. Look at that. What's this? Helvetica New? Come on. Come on now.
I know that's not great.
I hate it.
Um,
Is there a point to this? Is this font have anything to do with the story? Does it really matter? I just feel like this was like they were gonna do like they were doing temp text and then they're just like, well, I guess we'll just leave it. I don't know. I
so
hate it.
Prodigy is a series. It's about the world's smartest man. It's like a Lex Luthor if he did everything right, but there's no like Superman to fight. The first miniseries is drawn by Raphael Albuquerque, I
Hmm.
believe. It looks really good. Is it Raphael? I think so.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that sounds
Yeah.
right. Hmm.
Um, but this series introduces his brother and his dad, who's just as smart as him. Mark Miller says this is a really hard book to write because he's writing a character that's smarter than him. You know, so that's like that's difficult to do. But this is the third or fourth miniseries of this character, and this is the wrap up to the series. Good ending, good story. You know, kind of a surprise. He hits upon like some of the Anunnaki. I don't know if you know anything about like conspiracy theories or the origins of civilization, or the theory that the Anunnaki came down to ancient Mesopotamia and like showed us like how to do everything. No, you never heard this?
No.
Oh my God, Mark. It's a rabbit hole I went down like 10, 15 years ago when I first discovered this conspiracy writer named is it Jim Mars? He wrote a book called Crossfire, which is what the JFK uh, Oliver Stone movie is based off of.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
So Jim Mars, he was a journalist in Dallas at the time. So he and the Anunnaki, Zachariah Sitchin was this guy who was taking the ancient cuneiform tablets that they found in ancient Mesopotamia, and he was deciphering them. He was decoding them and came up with this whole story about the aliens coming down, and they wanted they wanted people to mine for gold, and they're the ones that kind of made modern man out of like Neanderthals, you know, or out of an ape-like creature. And then like I don't think people could ever find like the tablets that he read. So if it's real or not, not that the Anunnaki is real or not. It's more like did the guy actually find these tablets? Is he reading a mythology or is he just kind of making it up?
Was that Joseph Smith and Mormons?
That's a funny story too.
Similar.
Yes,
That he
similar.
found plates, golden plates in a hole.
Right. And he wouldn't show them to anyone. and he read them by memory to someone. And then when the wife to the publisher's like, I'm gonna publish your Mormon Bible, your Golden Plates book. He's like, oh, great, and he tells them everything. And then the wife's like, I'm not sure I believe him. Make sure get him to reread them because only he could read them with special magic glasses. And he's like, these are different ones, but it's pretty much the same. Because like he couldn't tell this,
Oh.
like he was making it up as he went along.
Mhm.
So he was like, oh, this is a different version, but it's the same gist of it, because he couldn't repeat himself exactly.
My God.
I know. And people have a whole religion. I mean, ugh, what am I doing? Mark, no religion talk on this show.
It's okay.
We're gonna lose. We could lose 5 out of the 15 people listening to it.
We
What if
could
we're
lose a
big?
third of the audience.
We could be big. You know how
We
big
could
we could
lose a
be in
third.
Utah
I know. Well, I don't know.
or
Everyone's
Iraq.
welcome. I don't see color. I don't see religion, you know.
No, religions. I feel like they're all paths up the same mountain.
Ah. Hmm. With the Ten Commandments and golden plates at the top.
Could be.
They're the
So we don't
same
know.
thing. If there's some
Listen,
type of
we may think Mormons sound crazy with what they believe in, or Scientology
and
is
then
crazy for
we
what they
sound
believe
crazy
in.
to them. Like, you know what I mean, or
Yes.
whatever we're doing, you know.
Or we believe our religion's right only because it's old. Okay. But like there's older religions.
Right. Right. It's tough, man. Look, I have the Alred golden plates trade paperback, which is like
Oh, hey, did
exclusive.
you read it, Mark?
No, it's unreadable. It's so there's so many words. It's really hard, you know.
It's
And
the
I
only
love like
Ulred book.
Alred. Like I've tried a few times to go through it, and I'm like,
I
I'm just
know.
gonna look at it. I don't
I
know. I
think
can't do it.
I think I initially got through the first square bound edition. And how many is there? Three? And before they collected it?
I want to say it was almost five. Like, yeah, there was basically they were square, but they were basically prestige format.
Yeah.
595 books, probably 48 pages, 60 pages, something like that. And then it came to and it basically was published through almost like a Bible publisher. Like it went through, and I'm sure it sold a ton. I'm sure he
In
made a good bit off of it. You know.
Yeah. I'm sure in
So,
Utah it sold great.
oh boy, yeah.
All right. So another Prodigy, another Mark Miller miniseries wrapped up.
Yeah, I did like, I mean, just kind of skimming the art here. I did like this. This looks a little bit like Travel Foreman. Um, like God, who else? Who was the guy? Was Travel Foreman the guy who did the Animal Man relaunch? That sound right?
Child Form. He's another class war artist like Trevor Hairsnine, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking
Um,
of both those guys. That's who I'm
both those
thinking.
guys are
Like
class
both
war.
those guys are very close to that. You know, so end of volume three. Oh, I think it's there. You go. There's Beans. Beans. Beans appearances. Beans on my haul for the week. He's
Yeah.
checking out the comics, my Shadow Mans and my Exo Man Awards and Space Punisher, which is a painted series by Mark Texiera. So that's it. I just kind of add that in. And
All
then
right.
this is what I'm talking. So okay, real quick, just a quick plug, even though I'm not going into my markdown
Yeah,
stuff,
we're not
but
doing.
I follow Main Street Comics, of course, on Instagram. That's up in Middletown, PA. It's about an hour 20 from me. But this is funny because I told you about this before. I find crazy crap in their dollar bins, and so it's like
Curtis.
Main Street Comic.
Who's Curtis Mayfield?
That's super. That's a song. So he's playing Superfly. The song he's playing, the guy whoever did this, like this is an Instagram story.
All right, all
So
right.
that's not, so I guess Main Street is putting on
Okay.
Superfly.
That's I'm like, wait a minute. Why do I know that name?
Yeah, yeah. But look at that. I mean, so you have like, and I get, and this is one of the things because out of his dollar bins, I got the Superman annual, the man who has everything. So I got that Superman annual in that dollar bin one time. I got a Micronauts one newsstand in that, like there's just crazy stuff. If it's too beat up, because he does have really good copies, so you could probably get all of these copies on the other side. He has like two kind of sides of the store. He should be really busy this upcoming Saturday because Chris Condon, that's his LCS. So he is Chris Condon, the writer of That Texas Blood, co-creator of That Texas Blood, and Ultimate Wolverine #1 came out this week. So he's going to be there on Saturday signing for 3 hours or so, quite a bit. So that's pretty cool. But that's what I mean. Like, I mean, and I want to say that's like the first Jimmy Olsen, right? Isn't that the first Kirby? I think so.
Oh,
I think that's
yeah,
right.
maybe.
And then you got a newsstand, Death of
Death of Supergirl,
Death of
Crisis number
Supergirl.
7, and you got the Alan Moore,
I mean,
whatever
again,
happened to the Man of Tomorrow.
I feel that for the last couple of years when I just been kind of hunting dollar bins, I feel like there's very minimal stuff that I can't get for a dollar. I think eventually I'm just getting a lot. I've gotten a lot of stuff where I've
You know,
resold.
in the mid '90s, that Crisis cover was considered the holy grail of comics.
Mhm.
All original art collectors agreed that that was the cover, the most important cover to get for comic books.
Right.
And I wonder if it would break a million today.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. It's a special book to break a million. You know, I mean,
That's the best Crisis cover besides Crisis One. You know.
oh no, it's beautiful. It's perfect. You know,
Oh
it's
man,
only been homaged like a couple times.
a couple hundred times.
Well, no, in a good way. Like,
Yeah, right. Yeah, a lot of times. I, God, how many times do you think you read Crisis?
well, this issue I read the most because I had it first.
Oh, okay.
I
Okay.
actually, I actually somehow got a coverless copy of it. I'm like, oh, what? This is before I was reading comics though, so I would read it. I'm like, oh, Supergirl's dead. Holy crap! And I would read it and reread it and reread it. But
Mm.
Crisis itself, there was a point I was reading at least. I read it a lot when I was younger, and I read it less every year as I grew up, as I grew older.
Yeah.
Like as of right now, it's probably been 2, 3 years since I read it. I
I
did
sold.
read it. I did read it a few years ago.
Yeah, I'm bummed out. I had a George Perez sign when it took a while to reprint because they either didn't have the right film or they had to kind of restore it. There was a lot of issues with it. So when they first reprinted, they reprinted it basically as a like a DC Archives. Like it had the same kind of interior format as DC Archives. It was they had something was up with it. They didn't have the right film or they put in a couple of different paper stocks. They didn't have the right, they had to redarken some of the Ordway inks, I think, in a few places. So it got basically restored. And then it had a really good Perez penciled like a double gatefold cover and then Alex Ross painted over it. And then it was
Yeah.
slipped inside this like silver slipcase, and Perez signed the outside of that.
Well, that
I
wasn't
sold
it.
that
Didn't
at
it
one
come along
point.
with the absolute version, right? Didn't the absolute version come along with the huge poster? That poster was like it's like 5 feet across, right?
I don't know. I don't remember from
I,
that, or was it that size?
I
Or
think
you're saying the absolute?
it was an absolute hardcover, but it came with
Hmm.
a poster inside that you would unfold of the Alex Ross painted cover.
Oh, I don't know. I
I
have
definitely
I have an absolute version, but I don't think I have a poster in there.
maybe the poster was separate. Maybe I'm
Yeah,
thinking of something else. But I did have the post. They made a poster of that cover, and it was huge.
yeah.
It was
I
like
don't
I feel
know.
like it was 5 feet across. Like it was big. I remember having it in my old apartment.
I really wish I liked the Earth X. Like, I like the Earth X story, of course, but I don't like the Earth X. Like, I think Dynamic Forces did like a lithograph of like the whole thing, right?
Yeah,
But I'd never liked that like combo. I never liked the combination of that. But I wouldn't mind having the Crisis that big. That would be interesting because there's so much detail in that. You know,
yeah.
it's kind of a superpower.
So
Just
all
kind of
right,
looking at that. So
well, let's wrap this up.
wrap it up. We did it again. Reviews
You
daytime, everybody.
you heard all our intel at the beginning. If
Two and a
you
half hours. We did it again. We don't know how to do it. We want to try to do an hour.
we don't know
We
how to shut
can't
up.
do it. We love it. We
We
love it.
do.
We love the
We do.
things. So we're gonna do it. We're gonna hook it up. We're gonna end it. Doing great. And we'll see everybody soon for more news, question mark episodes, markdown
Reviews.
episodes, deep dive.
Yeah,
Like and
there's
subscribe,
too
share.
much stuff to talk about.
God, I forget. I have to send you some analytics because I want to say that this last month we've gotten our most number of subscribers in a row, like really fast in the last 2 weeks.
Wow.
We've gotten a good amount.
Good.
So we're doing
Good.
it.
I hope people like it.
We're getting better. We're getting better. So all
So
right, I'm gonna stop the recording now.
you don't got to tell them.